May 2021. Nduko,
Yeah.
how are you?
Fine, thank you.
You're
Good
well.
morning.
I'm good morning.
Oh, you are? That is great.
Yes. Siti Muga.
Yes.
Hujambo.
Mimi kaka si jambo. Sijui wewe.
Huh?
If you were to literally translate hujambo, jambo is like what? Jambo is
Habari gani Kenya yetu.
malaika. Okay, no, seriously. It's like what's up or things. How are things? Jambo is thing, right?
Hello, hi.
Oh, hi.
Jambo.
So then when you say si jambo, is you're answering hi back.
You see, some even used to say mambo. How are things?
Hujambo is like una jambo. And then si jambo is like sina
I don't have jambo.
I don't have jambo.
Yes.
Got issues? Got no
none.
issues.
Look, African greetings were never about hello.
Yeah.
It is how is your health? How are the health of your cows? How the health? Those ones. Yes. So is everything okay, really?
Yeah.
Got it. Now I'm clear.
Sasa wewe jambo.
Si jambo.
Good. Very good.
Sinks.
Very good. So, a lot happened last night.
Indeed, eh?
Not like it wasn't expected. Members of Parliament voted yes to the BBI, the Constitution Amendment Bill.
Surprise, surprise. Ding,
A
ding.
number of them voted no. A number of people who had said yes, no to all the conversations came out and said yes. Hey. Now it's going to the president. From the president, he'll take it to Mr. Chepkat. Mr. Chepkat will bring it to us, and then we'll give Mr. Chepkat back. And life will go on. Yes.
As was said before, I mean, I didn't expect
So it
anything
means that
different.
the no negotiations went as planned. Because whenever there's such a loud no, we know it's a negotiation.
They went as planned. Or maybe not yet. Or maybe the circus just continues.
What is certain is that even if it goes through Parliament, it doesn't stop individual politicians from talking about it.
Yep.
Nothing prevents them from saying what they want to say. If they want to support it, if they want to cast aspersions, they still have the leeway to do so. Yes.
So, but that was the National Assembly. The Senate deferred its vote. I don't know, because senators are very busy with very many other things, including the impeachment of Wajir, the governor. Which will be some more drama. I'm telling you, harvest season. Harvest season is a good
Buna
season.
mode.
It's a good season. So we'll talk about very many things that are happening around the world today. And schools are reopening next week. There's a whole issue of grade 4s and parents of grade 4s wondering, now these little toddlers are going to be here again until July. Aye. And we saw that there are some who are parents who have reached out to private schools and said, we'd like you to come up with a program like this, like a
don't mind
daycare kind of
paying
thing. It's not going to be
something.
like, education per se. It's going to be like, like holiday camp.
And we don't mind paying.
Yeah, we don't mind paying. Yeah, and maybe that's actually something to consider. Kids are at home. There's a worry about what are they doing in the house. And if they actually come out and go to school because the other classes have opened, these are grade 4s we're talking about. Why not give them a holiday camp? Something. Let them go. Spend a day in class with their peers.
The justification that came from the Ministry of Health is that they went to school before everybody else did. They were there for 3 months. And in order for them to catch up, give them another, essentially
Makes
3
sense.
months to catch up, to rest, and then join in. Because they were in for 3 months when everybody else was at home. Then now, let them be home for 3 months while everybody else catches up. And then we get into the year proper. Come
What
July.
makes sense for me is they finished the academic year.
Yes,
So
and
we are
sat
waiting for
there.
them to start the next academic year.
Yes.
Everybody else who's reopening is actually going to finish their academic year.
Exactly.
That's okay. I understand.
Plus, remember, they did an assessment, the grade 4s did an assessment for them to now go into
Into the
upper
next-
primary.
yeah.
So
I understand that. But now here, the issue is not about learning or curriculum.
we just
or-
don't want them at
No,
home.
it's just keep the children. Holiday camp. Anyway, let's talk about COVID.
All right. Let's look at the highest number of COVID cases in Kenya this week. 705 new cases recorded yesterday from a sample size of 8,853. Takes that positivity rate from this particular sample to 8%. 711 recoveries. The communication that's coming from the Ministry of Health is quite stellar nowadays. We have graphics and all kinds of nice things. Took a year, but okay. 25 recorded deaths yesterday. So they don't have to spend all this paper. It's just one graphic and all the information is in that one graphic.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, took a while,
So it
but we're
doesn't,
there.
it doesn't have fellow Kenyans and all.
No fellow Kenyans. COVID-19 update, boom. 6th May, boom. New cases, 705.
Boom.
Sample size, 8,853.
Boom.
Positivity rate, 8.
Boom.
Recovery, 711.
Also boom.
Recorded deaths, 25.
Not a boom.
Then on the other side, very nicely, cumulative tests now in the country, 1,701,385. Total confirmed cases, 162,098. Total recoveries, 110,480. And cumulative fatalities, 202,850. All this information in one place. And we have the same thing. It's fantastic. Counties: Nairobi, Siaya, Nandi, Embu, Kisumu, Migori, Kakamega, Garissa, Kilifi, Bungoma, Kiambu, Nakuru, Machakos, Meru, Turkana, Kitui, Samburu, and Makueni are where the cases were found yesterday, with the highest cases ranging from 130 to 6. And then the other counties of Isiolo, Kajiado, Mombasa, Murang'a, Nyandarua, Nyeri, Vihiga, Kirinyaga, Marsabit, Homa Bay, West Pokot, Bomet, Busia, Kericho, Kisii, Laikipia, and Wajir, with cases ranging from 5 to 1. So you have all of that information in one place. No big story. We also have the COVID-19 vaccination update. Now 900,459 people in Kenya have been vaccinated.
How many?
900,459.
Yani a million is such a huge
We've
number.
not gotten there yet.
Okay.
524,720 of those are 58 and above. 159,308 are health workers. Teachers come in at 140,354. And security officers come in at 76,077. This is the official number from the Ministry of Health.
So the rest of us,
The rest of you who have received your
So I'm
vaccination
either-
don't fall into this category. That's what I was
either
going
a
to say.
security person or an
Neither
over
are you
58.
over 58. You're not a health worker. You're not a teacher. So according to this, you've not gotten your
I
vaccine.
think I'm in security.
You think so? That's where you're looking like you can fit.
I'm in security.
All right.
Security.
Security.
You know, we work for. You remember that guy, the witnesser who wore dark glasses and he worked with the state.
Right. You're that guy.
Remember the accident in Naivasha?
Yeah.
The helicopter accident, and this guy was being
With
interviewed on
aviator
TV.
glasses, yeah.
Yes. You know, we work. I work for state. Tumesikia hii
Kept
ajali.
appearing in all sorts of-
Tukakuja. Then the next
When there was the accident on Thika Highway,
He
The
showed up
governors-
once again.
yes, the governor's accident, the
governor's
fatal
accident.
accident, the guy also appeared.
He was there. Unajua tulikuwa hapa nini tukasikia. Kakuja kwanza nikasecure bunduki.
You know, this is the problem about watching these Rambo movies.
So that guy and I are in the same WhatsApp
Okay.
state.
So you got some.
Got the
Oh,
job.
you're on the same WhatsApp?
Yeah.
Wear your dark glasses.
Yeah, I'm gonna be wearing.
And the funky haircut.
That's how I went to
And the-
Bagathi to get my
and
job.
and the bulletproof
And they asked me,
suits.
so uko category gani? State.
Now, where must you go education?
Look at this.
Wewe uko
State.
wewe uko education.
State.
Hii kazi tunafanya.
So sasa state niandike. So police, ukiandika state system
State
itajua.
nini? Kuna zingine huwezi kusema,
System itajua.
unaweza sema mbele. Yes.
Joker.
By the way, you may think it is a joke. In this country,
This one is
you
a joker.
appear like you know what you're saying, and you say
They
those
will just
things.
follow.
People
They'll even
just
greet
say,
you very well.
yes,
They'll even
yes,
greet
yes.
you well.
Until the government is here. So just
State.
take
Just
it
fall
easy.
in line.
Uh-huh.
Yes, that's what we're looking at in the country now.
Okay.
Let's look at an update from around the world. We're now at 156,681,524 cases. 134,042,630 have recovered. Let's look quickly at what's happening in India. Very important to keep doing so. 21 million. The last time we looked at India was the day before yesterday, and we're at 19 million. 2 million cases in 2 days, guys. Things are hot and
crazy.
Heavy. It really is crazy in terms of what's going on here. It's been established that the Indian variant is in Kenya. More and more cases now being...
5 of those who were contact traced have tested positive.
Yes, so... The contact tracing seems to be, they're still continuing, not having been able to secure everybody who came in contact with the initial 10. But yeah, 5 of those yesterday then were found to be positive.
Kenyans who had attended the Kumbh Festival in India, and then they came back. They tested positive, and they have that variant.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
That's it.
Okay, City, this whole issue of now, it's not vaccine nationalism per se, it's patent nationalism.
It is. WTO, the best they can do is appeal to the member states.
WHO.
T.
Trade now.
Yes.
Right?
They can appeal to the member states and say, guys, they can't issue a declaration to this is what's going to happen. They ask. Germany, country has told them, we're not doing anything of that sort.
Germany has said,
no.
The problem with the vaccine is not the patent.
No, yes. Hiyo story hawataki kusikia.
Tafuteni.
But this was likely to happen. This was likely to happen because if you're talking about countries and understanding what you call spheres of influence, this discussion we were having yesterday about Kenya, Tanzania, the area, do you know, at a national level, what is perceived is that Kenyans like to extend their sphere of influence. They want to be the big brother and the big boy of East Africa. Now, having said this statement, the Kenyans will say, why are you saying we want to be? We are. But that is not a good statement to make to your neighbors. Because you're then telling them that you're not equal, okay? Those aren't things people want to hear. Now, with the West, we accept. These people are ahead of us. There are things they know. There are things they have which we don't have. But they are not content to just have them. If there is an opportunity for them to extend whatever power they have, they will do so. And if what are we saying? That COVID is affecting the whole world? Yes, it is. But it is, for many people, yet another opportunity to do precisely that. Yes. You tell me, what did India do? First, we are producing this stuff. My friend, we are not exporting anything. The guy who had the serum industry, the people who actually manufacture this, the guy had to go into hiding. Yes, because he was being sought after. Because as far as they're concerned, you are the problem.
You're the one who's...
Yes, it's you. See, it's your company. You.
Yeah, it's you. Let's take a break at this point. 6:15, live streaming on SpiceFM KE, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. Amrioto has switched on the switch.
The thing.
Yes, and the live stream is on. Let's hear where you tuned in this morning, in the country, around East Africa, around the world, Trinidad and Tobago, wherever. Let's see. Okay? And we'll be saying hello to you shortly. As you do that, jobs.standardmedia.co.ke is the website where you find very many jobs that have been advertised, and people have placed their adverts on this website, jobs.standardmedia.co.ke. If you find a job that suits you, apply. If you don't, register for a newsletter that comes to you or alerts that come to you on your email or SMS. Good morning.
(24/7) around the world, non-stop. This is Spice FM.
It's time to answer questions that are worthwhile. The Big Quiz Show is here. Register to play from the comfort of your home by SMSing the word JOIN to 23774. Then watch the live show on KTN every Sunday from 8 p.m. where you could have a chance to win a mealie. The fastest and most accurate answers are guaranteed to win. The Big Quiz Show, Sundays at 8 p.m. only on KTN.
Hello.
Halo, umesikia?
Nimesikia nini?
Hujasikia habari? Hebu acha nikuambie. Kile kimetokea.
Hello? Hello? Hello?
Don't wait for hearsay. Dial star 550 star 1 hash to read the standard e-paper from the convenience of your mobile phone for only 20 shillings from your telecom line, and stay up to date for a reliable source with over 100 years of experience with no additional data charges.
The weather with Spice FM.
All right, Friday morning, partly cloudy conditions in Nairobi at 17, highs of 24 today, coming down to lows of 16. It's clear and, well, actually cloudy in Nyeri this morning, 14 degrees, highs of 23 and lows of 16. 16 degrees and cloudy conditions in Nakuru, highs of 23 today. 21 will be the high in Eldoret, where it's 14 degrees at the moment and mostly cloudy. 26 will be the high in Kisumu, mostly cloudy conditions at 19. It's also 19 in Kakamega, mostly cloudy, going to highs of 25. Mombasa is mostly cloudy, a chance of rain later with highs of 29. 30 will be the high in Malindi today. It's partly cloudy at 26. Mostly cloudy conditions in Kampala at 19, highs of 25. And we're looking at cloudy conditions in Dar es Salaam at 23, highs of 27 and lows of 22. Johannesburg at 10 degrees is clear, highs of 19 and lows of 10. Mostly clear conditions in Lagos at 25, highs of 31. 31 will also be the high in Kinshasa. It's clear right now at 23. It's 23 degrees and sunny in Beijing, highs of 27 and lows of 16. Clear conditions in Paris at 5, highs of 19 and lows of 9. And London is clear at 7, highs of 14 and lows of 6. New York, coming into Friday morning, we will see clear conditions. It's right now at 14 degrees, highs of 19 and lows of 9.
Spice FM. Spice up your life. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right.
Okay,
94.4
19 minutes
Spice
after
FM.
6. People are online.
Yes, they are. Machakos tuned in. Bay Ashley. Okay, Bay Wamacha. Got to get it right. Tuned in from Machakos this morning. Oh, yeah, Spice. Kisumu is well represented. That's Collins Bila Ocheng. We love you all. Santi Sana. Robert Mbogo. Good morning. Spicing up from Mombasa. Alex Mbogo is also tuned in from Nyeri. Millicent Yewa. Great to see you, great people. CT. You're looking like a military officer from far. Can't really tell more about your nice shirt.
I get the impression that that is a compliment.
Yes, Millicent is giving you a compliment this morning.
And I thank him.
Millicent.
I may have Vincent, Jamani. You really must articulate these words more clearly.
Millicent.
I thank Millicent.
Ibiondo Nilisema.
It's here, Vincent. You swallowed the first 3 letters and then you went with Vincent.
Akuna City.
Hiya.
Dag Yogusa says, good morning, Situation Room, my people, Eric Ndu and Dr. Muga. Great show indeed. Kisumu here is so cold. Hey, now you know your definition of cold compared to Nairobi. Eric or Latif don't have a word to say about that. Tuned in from
Kisumu is cold.
Apparently.
I believe him.
Okay. Waterman Jeffrey is tuned in from Hennepin County. And Veronica Pierre is tuned in from Trinidad and Tobago. Do you know where that is?
Yes.
Trinidad and Tobago. Wow. So where exactly
County 032?
is Veronica? Are you in Trinidad or in Tobago?
You lost soul.
On which of the islands are you?
Because they are 2 separate islands.
Separate islands.
But because they are tiny, they like to function
Mash
as...
them
Yes,
what?
yes, yes.
Like St. Kitts and Nevis. So which one is St. Kitts? Which one is Nevis? Okay. God help us. Okay. Olo Caleb this morning is also tuned in. He says, enjoying the show as usual. Everybody else is tuned in this morning. Karibuni sana to Friday. Asante.
I've just decided to do... to check on Google time in Trinidad.
Oh, she has said.
That's why I keep saying we have 2 Fridays. So Trinidad, they are still in yesterday's Friday, and it's 11:21 p.m.
Yeah, they're on the Western Hemisphere. And she has said to tell you that she is in Trinidad, actually.
Very good, Veronica Pierre. Good night. Welcome to the Situation Room. City, the proverb.
Peace does not make a good ruler.
Peace does not make a good ruler.
Yes.
You need the full one.
Well,
I told you I lost so this
Friday.
guy this morning.
It started yesterday.
No.
What we're seeing is a continuum. So, expect more of the same.
Yeah, it's just 6:21, man.
I'm woke.
Fully.
You know, this thing of allowing Kenyans to speak more than one language, it has issues. Then you have some in the room who can speak 3. Some 4. Problem.
Issues.
How many languages do you speak, City?
It depends. How do you define a language?
Yes, speak or
Okay.
speak here
Official
or
languages.
speak no.
Official languages. Speak, understand, and read or write a little bit.
Just a little bit. 4.
Comprehensively.
3.5.
Oh, 3.5. Okay.
What is comprehensively?
That you can write and somebody else
All right,
will
let
understand.
me, okay, let me give you an African.
I can write J. Mapele Eric.
Which
That
language
is one
that?
language. I can write my name is Eric. 2 language.
What was the first one you said?
Mimi naitwa Eric. J. Mapele Eric.
Yes. Jina yangu mimi binafsi ni Eric. Yes. And then there's a fourth
I
one.
said speak properly. I also
Yes,
said that.
yes. And then there's the fourth one, mother tongue.
I'm talking about writing.
Okay, mother tongue, Eric. How do you say mimi jina yangu yote iko ndani ya Eric?
Hapo kuna kadhaa. Mother tongue gani? Ile ya
Yako.
mother.
No, ile ya mother.
I'm done. I can't. Please,
Let's take a look at the headlines.
Yeah,
Okay?
because
Because you're done.
I'm finished.
Headlines. Start with where? Which one do you want to start with?
Hey, okay. How Uhuru and Raila clipped BBI attack. Let's look at that. It's front page of Standard today. Subhead. Legislators from across the political divide spoke strongly against at least 10 issues in the bill. When it came to voting last night, the tide dramatically changed with proponents smelling victory. So everybody had talked, made noise. At the end of the day, they voted. At least in the national, in Parliament, right? And we saw that even if noise was made, the thing sailed through. So the Constitution of Kenya Amendment Bill was yesterday headed for a big win at the National Assembly. MPs burned the midnight oil to conclude both the second and third readings. President Uhuru Kenyatta and ODM leader Raila Odinga had earlier used both carrot and stick to whip the MPs to support the Building Bridges Initiative bill, including ouster Rarieda MP Otiendo Amolo from the powerful Justice and Legal Affairs Committee as vice chair. So top government officials also reached out to lawmakers, as Uhuru and Raila released a joint statement asking them to put aside their political differences, as it was not the moment of political adversity or personal aggrandizement. Okay? So people were reached out to, as you kind of alluded to, and that's why we see the result that we saw yesterday.
So calls were made.
They were spoken to.
People were reached out to. That's what we're calling it now.
I don't see who reached out to Kimani of Nakuru.
What he says now.
Kimani Gunjiri.
No, Kimani, some of them said now, Kimani Ichung'wah says, for example, the BBI process is a culmination of the handshake and the BBI task force work. This document, to me, is a poison chalice anchored on treachery and loaded with deception. We're deceiving ourselves and deceiving the country. What he said on the floor of the House yesterday. Gladys Wanga, I support this bill unreservedly. Nations develop by constantly reviewing their systems to determine what works and what does not. A constitution is a living document. We have had people say that BBI is expensive. Okay, she kind of went off there.
Very good.
Aidan Dwale said, I will not speak for any political party, but on behalf of the people of Garissa, I want somebody to tell me if this bill will end electoral violence. I want somebody to tell me if this BBI contains electoral reforms. The presidency is divided. Interesting how words sometimes seem to change. Johanna Ngeno said, this will pass as the most divisive document in this country. I want to say that it is only after a referendum that we can say the document belongs to the people. As at now, the document belongs to the two brothers. Maison Le Chomo, the Samburu woman rep, said, the views in the BBI are from the people. It did not come from certain people, but all Kenyans. We went all around the country collecting views based on the 9-point agenda by President Uhuru Kenyatta and ODM leader Raila. So it's not us, it's the people who said what they want that's in this document.
Yeah, instructive to know she's in the task force.
Of course. Igembe North MP Maoka Maore said, if you listen to those opposed to the bill, they are not opposed to the content, but to claims that they have been sidelined. The unfortunate bit is that a part of that government did not recognize the handshake as a way of healing. Interesting views that came up from the House yesterday. But at the end of the day, what happened?
They voted, and majority voted yes.
Yes, they did.
A majority voted yes. It will still pass as one of those things. Anyway, me have expressed myself on the BBI many times.
Well, since we are both declaring, I have also expressed myself clearly.
Who's we are both? Oh.
No, he has both declared himself. And I also have both.
You as the both.
Yes, I've also declared myself on this matter of the BBI. And it wouldn't be a decent document if you didn't have the differences that we're hearing. Yes, it simply represents, not in my opinion, the value of the document, but the political divide that we have in the country. So an opportunity for it to flare up and to demonstrate its existence is best provided by something of this sort. Yes.
So that's what comes out, huh?
Well, that's what is coming out clearly. Yes. And remember this ring of roses and musical chairs, the political musical chairs that our politicians like entertaining us with. It's yet to take form. Just give it time. As we near the point of the referendum, we are going to see dance moves we've never seen before.
And none of them will be on the content.
No, it's content. Even these fellows who keep talking and making noise about it, how many of them
have read it?
Actually, to be very, very honest, see, the reading of any such document is okay. Who's presenting it? Who's championing it? It is wrong. Who's championing it? It is right. So, details that you pick 2 or 3 things that are close to you, or you feel this one I can talk about, and you harp on it. This is not a 1-page document. Okay, it's not, and it talks about many, 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 many things. If our constitution that was lauded the world over, it was said, this one, hey, Kenyans, you've tried. You've really, really tried. Yet, here we are talking about it, and here we are wanting to change it, and we haven't even implemented all of it. So the reason, well, it's a living document. I like that statement, though.
Yeah, Constitution is a living document.
Yes, we've seen how it works, and there's nothing wrong with the amendments. Correct, it's a statement of truth. However, because there is politics in it, everything that has nothing to do with whether this is good or bad, or whether it's useful or not, that is not what is under discussion.
Yeah, that's what. 6:30, Kenya's biggest conversation. We continue. Our friend who is in Germany, Marburg, Germany, George Taita, the one who sent us lovely chocolate sometime.
Wonderful man. When is he back in Kenya?
George, when are you back in Kenya? He's up. He says good morning, and he's also tuned in. Very good morning to you, George. So, like City is asking, when are you back in Kenya? Basically, what you can hear him asking.
Oh, no. I'm not referring to the chocolate. What I'm referring to, we can invite him to come and visit us in the studio.
Yes, that's what we want.
And also to bring the chocolate.
Have you seen them? Am I live?
Yes, it's a very nice outfit, I must say. Good
Thank
job.
you. Asante sana.
The compliment is well received.
Good morning and thank you. Everyone in Wasingishu was asking me, what channel is SpiceFM?
96.7. Tell them that, right?
Yes, now they know.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Pleasure to have
What
you.
a beautiful studio, my friend.
I've been to other radio stations, but I've never seen anything like this.
Thank you, and it's very nice to be in a modern studio. Absolutely brilliant.
And I have to say, it's...
Okay,
Traffic.
not much to report just yet. Likely to see traffic building up on Mombasa Road today as you're trying to go into the CBD. but it hasn't started just yet. It was early days, or rather early minutes this morning. We do see some movement coming off Thika Road, quite thick right around the Pangani underpass, headed into the city, but nothing too crazy right now. Okay, so let's keep an eye on things. It's probably going to open up in the next half hour or so. And if you've already left, then you're in good stead because you won't get stuck in traffic that is likely to start in about 30 minutes. Really heavy. It is Friday after all, people out for the weekend, and we know the roads have been opened, so the usual weekend activity will open up, as well as those traveling for school who need to be in this weekend. All right, so let's keep an eye on things. Talk to us, guys, in case anything does go crazy. SpiceFM KE on Twitter, text on 40127.
Spice FM, Malindi. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right.
27 minutes to 7. So you
94.4.
remember the conversations that were taking place between President Samia Suluhu Hassan and President Uhuru Kenyatta? And they met with the business community, and President Suluhu addressed Parliament. And it was, the resetting of relations, and now things are going to work well because mko na Uhuru na tuko na Suluhu. Well, go to the border points. Those Uhuru's things of yours are still not. Mambo kwa ground. Vitu kwa ground. Different. So, if you go to Namanga, to Isibania, to Holili and others, you'll find trucks coming from Tanzania loaded with maize that is destined for Kenya. And they are not being cleared to cross over into Kenya. This is because on the 5th of March, and we had even mentioned this, the Agriculture and Food Authority had issued a ban on maize imports from Tanzania, saying they had detected high levels of aflatoxin. Okay? Now, officials at the border are saying the authority that banned the importation has not given us any contrary information. So yes, we heard the president saying, no, everybody who's at the border should now be let to come in smoothly, but official communication has not taken place. So the trucks are still there. We have incurred losses running into millions, said one trader, since the maize imports were banned 5 months ago. In Isibania, drivers and business people interviewed by The Nation said crossing the border has become an uphill task, with many being made to wait at the parking bays as goods are loaded. According to Michael Kamau, he said they're not allowed to get the goods directly from producers. All we can do is work with Tanzanians who bring them to the parking yard and where we pick them up. Janet Kimunto, a trader, said importing rice and other cereals has reduced in recent months. We now liaise with Tanzanians to import fish and cereals. These are usually brought to the yards. It is so cumbersome and tedious that some people opt for illegal routes. So Panya Routes underground business has taken center stage here. Then we have the issue of Kibro Beach Management Unit Chairman Maulid Jael saying Tanzanians have arrested some Kenyan fishermen at Sota Beach. And they are demanding 50,000 shillings to release each vessel. We sent representatives to seek the release of the boats and the men, and they were told to pay the amount. And he was expressing disappointment at the arrests took place when the president was in Kenya. So here's the thing. So Vituko ground versus what is said. And that's what we're saying. Among the very many things that we talk about, presidents meeting, trade relations being smoothened, the implementation is a challenge. The expectation, for example, of these traders was, Uhuru amesema tupite. Open the gates, my friend, we are coming in. No, they're still going to be processed. The Agriculture and Food Authority cannot just act on that. They may actually go back and tell the president, okay, yes, you said all these things, but the reason why we're banning this is to protect the lives of Kenyans.
You know what I see, though? COVID may have highlighted this issue and given it center stage in our discussions, but this isn't something that emanated with COVID. It just got highlighted. The thing that stands out for me is, on the one hand, it looks like an outright and clear defiance of what the president says. there are sectors within the economy, leadership, even within government, where the president says one thing, then these guys just go ahead and do exactly what they like. So you ask yourself this question. Well, I ask myself this question. Is it that even as the president spoke, they understood that what they're supposed to do is different and that what the president was saying was for public consumption? Or is it that people have become so immune? Well, the word here, the thing that we keep talking about is how it is that we as a country have gotten to a point where nobody seems to give a damn. Okay? So the president is like, fine, we've heard what the president said. Now this is what you're going to do.
Yeah. Carry on.
Yeah. President, okay, then go and bring the president here and tell him to come and do this thing for you.
Short of doing just that. That's what it is, right?
Yes.
So, I mean,
how do you explain this?
King in their own
how do you explain this? Yeah. It is clear what has been stated.
Yes.
and we've all heard it. And then this is not the only time we've seen this. Something completely different happens and you're wondering, wait a moment.
City, it is not very clear what the president has said. Did the president issue a blanket order on everything? Like open the borders and let them come?
That he did not do.
And did the president say that we are now removing what is in law in terms of what every agency should be doing? They haven't been removed.
No.
So the president is saying, yes, let's work at making it easier. Now, working at making it easier is not a 24-hour job.
Actually, it is. It is.
There are some things that may happen immediately. There are some things that may not happen immediately. If the reason why you are banning the importation of this, and you said it's not forever, we are banning the importation because we have noticed high levels of aflatoxin in the grain on various samples that we have tested. And you're continuously testing, and you're still noticing there's still high levels of aflatoxin. If that hasn't changed, despite the president saying, yes, let's make it work, you still have a duty.
That's not
because
what
you can still come and say,
that's not what I'm referring to, Eric. What I'm referring to is the bureaucratic bottlenecks that will be used. The aflatoxin is the perfect excuse that you need.
Yes.
Aflatoxin. We're bringing in cement, aflatoxin. We are bringing in, you name it. I am simply saying that the opportunity for bottlenecks to be created for nefarious reasons is, in my opinion, what I am seeing. The maize, if you know these are the standards that Kenya sets and you want to export it, you're telling me these people who are coming to bring maize across the border are all rogue traders who want to just bring in their maize irrespective of the condition that they're in?
No, they're not.
Okay. Why are we only having problems at the border of Kenya and Tanzania? Why are there only issues there? Is it the only border we have?
No, it's not.
Yes.
Is it the only border that is bringing in maize? No, it's not. Is it so the others are crossing, but produce that's coming from Tanzania, you have noticed.
Eric,
batch 1, batch 2, batch 3, then you notice there's an issue. You first of all say, halt.
Eric, I'm not saying that they are.
Work backwards.
Yes.
And say, how do we improve so that you guys, whatever you're bringing in, meets the standards?
If it was only that, and this maize has been coming from Tanzania for the longest time, even as I'm talking to you right now, okay? If you went to other border points with Tanzania, you would find people trading in maize. As I'm talking to you right now.
Yeah, that's why you said Panya routes have
not Panya routes.
Thrived.
Not Panya routes.
Open well-known routes.
Yes.
Official routes. Official routes against, that will be against FAA.
It isn't even against FAA. I'm trying to say that there are the issues of aflatoxin, but commingled with this are those shenanigans that are always being used by opportunistic individuals. Aflatoxin, that's it. While we're still testing, you say all that you like. Say all that you want, okay? But then we provide you with a way to
alpha-toxin this maize.
You said this maize can actually become clean instantly.
Yes, we can clean the maize for you. Yeah, we know how to.
We know how this aflatoxin
can be
sorted out.
Yes.
Okay, still speaking regional news. It seems that Kenya and Somalia are now friends again. Yay! Somalia has restored...
That was a tiff. That was a tiff.
That wasn't a tiff. That wasn't a tiff.
It was what?
That was the Somali president pitching a fit.
Yeah. Causing a tiff.
No, we didn't have a tiff with Somalia.
Okay, fit to tiff, same letters. Either way, it has all been unraveled now, okay? And Somalia has restored diplomatic ties with Kenya despite an ongoing maritime boundary row. President Farmajo yesterday, through his spokesperson, Abdirashid Hashi, said the latest move was based on mutual benefit and respect between the two countries. In the interest of good neighborhoodliness, federal government of Somalia resumes diplomatic ties with Kenya based on mutual benefit and respect for sovereignty, territorial integrity, non-external interference, peaceful coexistence, and equality. Those are many things. However, the announcement came shortly after President Uhuru Kenyatta received a special message from the Emir of the State of Qatar, His Highness Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani. I love it. Hashi said President Farmajo and President Kenyatta were grateful to the Emir of Qatar for his intervention in the matter. So it would seem as if the Emir is the one who came in and said, come on, guys.
No. Not very long ago, we had a supposed tiff with Uganda over an island called Migingo.
Has it ended?
No, it hasn't. Have we at
Did
any
you bring
point
in the
in
Emir?
time? No, not the Emir. I mean, we understand all that. Good. The Emir has come in with his own
We
message.
didn't cut diplomatic ties.
Nothing of that sort happened. Nothing. It was just disagreement. Everything.
You didn't recall your ambassador?
No.
In fact, Museveni visited Kenya.
Yes.
At
And the,
height of
tiff,
that.
and the tiff was going on.
That wasn't a tiff. That was those things that even talk about
so in
with,
this
with,
case, it's not
with
a tiff.
TZ.
Yes. And there's an actual island, which is a disagreement. Here it's some water with a boundary. So this line crosses here. So you have to bring in experts who determine where it begins and where it ends. All I'm saying is the supposed tiff with Somalia was more symptomatic of the problems the president was having in his own country. And it was diversionary. You need other people to see that the problem here is not us here.
It's not
These neighbors of ours are the ones who are causing us problems.
Okay. So in other words, just look, shake hands and then deal with your own internal problems.
Look, all these problems we keep talking about, border problems. If there's one thing we seem to be importing directly from that particular part of the country, their own issues, it comes into our country. Okay? But this is what happens when you have the sort of borders that we have. You know, we keep saying those borders are porous. They're not porous. They're open.
wide open.
Yes.
See.
The influence that Qatar is having in that region is actually quite big, because it tells you that for the Qatari Emir to basically broker this conversation, there's something at play. And we talked about the very many international forces that are trying to have a claim of influence in Somalia. Here is Qatar. We've seen Turkey. We've seen the UK. We have seen many countries trying to just exert influence for whatever reason. Something to note. So the Senate has formed an 11-member team to hear the charges leveled against the governor of Wajir, Mohammed Abdi Mohamud, who was impeached by the county assembly last week. That team will be chaired by Nairobi's Senator, what's his name? Johnson Sakaja.
Wow, okay.
They will be hearing the charges against the governor, who is accused of violating the constitution and other statutes, abuse of office and gross misconduct. Some 28 senators supported the formation of the committee and 14 were opposing it. James Orengo, the Senate Minority Leader, abstained on the grounds that he acted against Mr. Mohamud during the Wajir governor petition at the Supreme Court in 2017. The Assembly is accusing the governor of allowing unqualified people to handle procurement in the Department of Roads and Public Transport. So let's see how that goes. It's harvest season.
It's harvest season everywhere.
That guy's gone.
In your opinion? Okay.
By the time any discussion around the ousting of a governor gets to a point where the MCA seem to be in agreement and is pushing, the discussions that have taken place long before you get to that stage are very many. And somehow, some sort of agreement that would be expected isn't reached. And so they say, you know what, out.
Out, huh?
Yeah.
I think, in my opinion, the governor will be in office until August next year. And then the people may not return him in the next election. But this one, Senate, this one, he is home and dry. He's chilling.
With this Senate?
This Senate. He is okay.
Eric, remember that this is the same Senate who have many members who also want those gubernatorial positions.
Yeah.
Okay? These are the same senators who want to watch us for their own elections, whatever it is that they have an interest in.
That's the point.
And governors are seen as cash cows.
That's the point. So this governor is not being impeached by the Senate.
Why don't we wait and see?
Let's see. 14 minutes to 7. Time for a quick break, and then we look at more headlines. Good morning.
Thank you.
The political class, the contestants, everybody is trying to outsteal the other.
Remorse is not taught in any school. Manners is something you get from your mother. You don't get it from your political party.
Why are we so unfocused as a country? Why are we spending money and resources, yet we have real challenges in this country?
This coronavirus pandemic should teach us one thing, that universal healthcare is critical. Because at this point, whether you have a medical card that covers you, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right.
Conversation continues. More headlines.
Okay, so just looking at this story here of ex-Ugandan rebel leader gets 25 years for war crimes. You know, I think about the International Criminal Court.
So the X applies to what? To Ugandan or to rebel?
He's an ex. Okay, so he is an ex-rebel. He's still Ugandan. I don't think his citizenship has changed.
Okay.
And I think about the criminal court, and you know how they say the wheels of justice grind slow but firm, and it takes time for some of these cases to be heard and then actually realized, and then sentences given in the cases where the accused are found guilty, right? So the ICC has sentenced Ugandan former child soldier who turned into a brutal rebel commander to 25 years imprisonment. The judges said yesterday that his own abduction as a schoolboy and his history as a child soldier prevented him from being sentenced to life. So that was taken into consideration. Dominic Ongwen was convicted in February of a total of 61 war crimes and crimes against humanity, including murder, rape, forced marriage, forced pregnancy, and using child soldiers as a commander in the shadowy Lord's Resistance Army. His lawyers have said they will appeal the conviction. Stories reported by the Associated Press. Presiding Judge Bertrand Smith said judges had to weigh Ongwen's brutality and victims' wishes for justice against his own tortured past when deciding on a sentence. So the chamber was confronted in the present case with a unique situation, confronted with a perpetrator who willfully brought tremendous suffering upon his victims, but at the same time started out his life as one who had suffered much of the same. If you look at the child soldier situation, happened in Sierra Leone, happened in Liberia, happened in Uganda, happened in some parts of Rwanda. These children from the ages of 6, 7 years old, trained in combat under the influence of drugs. Very, very often, started life in a very brutal manner, and basically were taken away from their families. If they didn't practice this brutality, were oftentimes killed. You look at the Blood Diamond story in the DR Congo, in South Africa, same thing, that if these children did not engage in these acts as were insisted upon by the rebel leaders, they were oftentimes killed or their families slaughtered. So they oftentimes started life in a very, very difficult position. And this is what now this judge said, that, you know what, we would have given this fellow life, but we also see that he started life very, very, in a very difficult and brutal way. And possibility of him maybe having not entered into such a life of brutality if he had not been a child soldier himself. So,
you know, the thinking behind recruiting young individuals, young minds, it's something that leaders who have brought about very, very fundamental changes, often through a lot of violence, the world have done. Mao Zedong and the Chinese Communist Party focused on this. When they talk about the Cultural Revolution, at the heart of the Cultural Revolutions were young people. Red coats, I think is what they were called.
Sure.
If you look at what Hitler did in Germany, those were brown coats. Young people. It was young. These are people who are adolescents. It's like joining the Boy Scouts, okay? But within this, you are taught and trained and you are inculcated into some dogma and you grow up with it. The understanding is that you will not have any other dominant dogma in your life.
You know, the same principle that would teach a child something at a young age positively is the same principle that is used in this as well.
Yes.
That they are young, their minds are still forming, they're still making decisions. Very malleable in terms of which choice to take. So you use it for good. and you can also use it in the opposite direction as well. And they knew this.
Think of perhaps a far more positive example. Look at the football academies that they have.
Tennis,
any
basketball.
sport. They start you off young.
Gymnastics.
And they grow young, and you grow in that. By the time you peak,
that's all you know.
You're actually at the end of your adolescence, okay? So then they give you some 5 years, if you're really lucky, 10 years into that. But that will dominate your life.
Yep.
See? So if that same principle is used, especially in war, what is the human resource we have in abundance on this continent? Children. Yes.
And that's what they used.
And they know very well that this is a prolonged war. You will grow up and become an adult in that ecosystem. And that is what you will know.
Okay. Now, chiefs going all the way to county administrators are due to receive a pay rise.
Yes.
And they've received some increase in allowances, which has been approved by the Salaries and Remuneration Commission. So the available human resource capacity in the National Government Administration Officer structure has been stretched, compelling the administrators to shoulder almost double the usual responsibilities. That's according to Interior PS Dr. Karanja Kebisho. Now, we're talking about 8 regions, 47 counties, 290 sub-counties, 1,450 wards, and hundreds of sublocations and villages. Each of these is run by somebody from the government office, okay? Going all the way to the village. Each of them is going to receive something. The allowances are going to range from 7,000 shillings from assistant chiefs to 80,000 shillings for regional commissioners extra. I think we should call Mr. George Natembea. Tunaweza kukula kakitu hapa kidogo, kusherekea na kambuzi. The additional responsibilities on the shoulders of the officers include coordination, supervision, reporting of state development projects in their jurisdictions. Now, these changes came in January 2019 when the president transferred the powers of coordinating national development projects from the DP's office to this of Interior and Coordination of National Government. So, okay, those ones are going to receive something. What's in the business daily?
I like what's in the business daily. 80 Kenyan shillings, 80 million pension revealed ahead of Uhuru 2022 exit.
Huh?
I'm going to read it. It's a headline.
Please read the headline again.
Just read the headline again.
Shillings, 80 million pension revealed ahead of Uhuru 2022 exit.
Okay.
Treasury papers show retired presidents benefit to more than triple to 144 million in 2022. The Treasury has allocated, this is how the story goes, an 80 million Kenyan shillings to cater for the monthly pension of retired presidents, okay, from July next year, signaling a retirement package for President Uhuru Kenyatta. Budget estimates tabled in Parliament show that Treasury, I certainly cannot read the news.
Yeah. Yeah, it's okay. Just
that is why I usually just explain it. But let me continue read it. Let me soldier on.
Down the bumpy road. Let's go.
Let me just show that the Treasury has created a new budget vote labeled gratuity for retired presidents from July 2022, which is coinciding with the end of Kenyatta's second and last term in August. So, even as you're talking about the chiefs being allocated more money. Yes, even the retired presidents are going I just thought I would just tie that in.
So they'll get 80 million bob more?
Actually, yes, but divided. No, not each. It's 80 million. The allocation is 80 million. Now it can be divided.
Okay.
And remember,
for retired presidents.
Yes.
So far, we are only dealing with one retired president.
It's only one.
Okay.
It's only one.
So now they'll triple when we get a second retired president.
Yes. So after Uhuru, there'll just be 2 retired presidents.
And the allowances will triple.
One of the things that I think I've never understood, what happens about these benefits if somebody succumbs to the call of...
like in the case of retired President Moi.
Yes.
That's it. It ends.
It ends.
Yeah. Remember, even the officers who are attached to him now come back to national government and they're reassigned. Yeah. So you receive this for as long as you're alive.
So it's not an eternal...
No, you don't pass it on to your children.
It doesn't work like that?
No.
So the taxpayer isn't burdened...
for life.
Ad infinitum?
No.
All right.
But also now remember, we only have one retired president, but the We have several retired vice presidents who also receive something.
They do.
And we have a former prime minister who also receives something.
Yes. And what about the deputies, prime ministers? Do you also receive something?
Those ones?
We don't know, do we?
I don't know. I don't know. So maybe Uhuru is receiving a retirement package as a former deputy prime minister.
Yes.
While he's still serving as
you've
president.
gotten my thinking, because you also yes, there was that package,
and
then
he's
now,
a president.
But now there's a package,
and then he'll receive one as a former president and a former retired prime minister.
Yes.
Vice president.
Yes.
Hey, nice. No, deputy prime minister.
This is a good package.
A good one. Now, can you imagine if Kalonzo then became president and retired?
I can't actually imagine.
You can't imagine. You can't imagine Kalonzo retiring.
No, being president.
Oh,
stranger things have happened in politics. Oh, stranger things have happened. Stranger things have happened. I mean, this is a man who's been in the political sphere for really a very, very long time. Yeah. I would not rule it out. There are others whom I would just rule out until you point blank. That person will never be president. Even if we wake up very early in the morning. Like I'm not going to mention.
I'm looking for this final page as we get to the top of the
final
hour.
page.
What final page? Of which paper?
See, if it's a final page, just go to the end.
Not the back page. I mean, I'm saying the final story that I wanted to share.
All right, let me help you as you're thinking.
Yeah,
States to go for grab land, says Karunei. The Ministry of Lands targets repossessed land, at least 800 pieces of government land stolen in Nairobi. That's just for starters. And the story continues. It goes on and on. The Star also talks about land that was acquired by the late Nicholas Biwott, and how it is that it has now been decided by the court that those people who are dispossessed of their land will now be compensated to the tune of 5 million Kenyan shillings.
By taxpayers. Why not get their land? Why am I paying if that person got the land irregularly and somebody else suffered? Why am I, as a taxpayer, paying the person who suffered?
I am of the view, pay them for the inconvenience and give them back their land. But it is not the taxpayer who's going to pay. This one, it is the estate of the late Nicholas Biwott who are being targeted.
Okay.
Yes. Not us.
Phew.
Not us.
You feel better now?
Yes.
Okay.
So what I wanted to read was Today in History. Today, the 7th of May, 1962, Mr. Alderman Charles Wanyoike Rubia was appointed the first African mayor of Nairobi, replacing Mr. Harold Travis. And he was deputized by John Kasioka, a former chairman of the defunct African General Ward Council. So this is the day that Nairobi got its first African mayor.
Okay.
Charles Rubia. Alderman Charles Wanyoike Rubia.
I've always found that particular issue interesting.
Alderman, I think it's
quite
hoity-toity.
Not Alderman, the mayorship of Nairobi. Because there's always been an interesting, if I may use the word, tussle between Kiambu, Murang'a. But it's a discussion for another day.
Okay. You'll actually explain that to us in a little bit, in a short while. Keep it right here. More conversations continuing to the next hour. It's now 7 a.m.
Spice up your life. Spice FM. Nakuru. Traffic.
Yeah, okay, so traffic is starting to build up on Mombasa Road today, out towards General Motors. We understand that they've changed their name to Isuzu East Africa. However, it's going to be the General Motors stage forever and forever, okay? So out towards General Motors, there's still traffic this morning, and thereafter it smoothens out just a little bit. But Mombasa Road looking better and better. This morning. It's actually not too crazy. ICD route towards the southern bypass is actually helping out folks this morning. Jogo Road is also not looking so bad right now as you enter into the city via Landys Road, but it's looking like it's going to pick up. And then on Outer Ring today, we have quite some traffic. Hopefully that opens up as well. Folks are using that route a lot more to avoid Mombasa Road. That means it eases up on Mombasa Road also a bit. So it's not too crazy just yet. Let's see if it remains this way until at least 10 o'clock. Let's talk. SpiceFMKE on Twitter. Text on 40127.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Oko, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latif, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is The Situation Room.
Hiya. Hiya. City, today's proverb.
Peace doesn't make a good ruler. This one is from Botswana.
Peace doesn't make a good ruler.
No.
You need turmoil here and there.
Then we know what you
cause issues here, cause issues there. Make peace here, make
solve
peace
issues
there.
Solve issues there.
You become a good ruler. Otherwise, people will just be wondering, so why do we need this one?
Yes, and things are okay.
Yeah.
What do we need you for?
City, where did you go?
I was actually tying my shoe.
Because I saw you and then...
No. That's what you call chinyamaji.
1 minute you're there, and then the next
Chinyamaji.
minute you're gone.
You think this is the province of only a selected few? Chinyamaji.
You can do it. Okay.
If you want to make something live, you demonstrate.
Yes.
Okay. To see how high actually
You're
happened.
hearing the voice and you're wondering, where's the owner of the voice? That is what is a cartel. You keep hearing cartel, okay. Who is it? Dio cartel. But you can hear it clearly. The manifestation of its existence is there, but you can't pin it down. You can't sort of like... And then just when you think you've understood it...
It's back.
County, cartel, is thinking, okay, are they the same group who've gone there? Or what is this thing? Anyway.
Welcome
back. Tell us about that thing you're saying. Nairobi, Kiambu, Murang'a, Mayor.
You know, it has to do more with the proximity to a capital city, and then certain positions of influence that were apparent at independence. Remember, our first Minister for Commerce was one Dr. Julius Kiano, Murang'a. All right?
Yes.
Now, first Mayor of Nairobi, Murang'a.
Charles Rubia.
And the closest part of this country in terms of central Kenya to Nairobi is actually Kiambu, not Murang'a. Kiambu is between here and
there.
Yes. Now, one of the things that is attributed to this peculiar occurrence at independence was that we had an Africanization policy. What it meant was we were trying to give Africans a foothold in business. And most of those businesses were along River Road, formerly known as Grogan, as in Grogan Road. Okay?
Grogan.
After General Grogan. Now, there are those who argue that the vast majority of people who then took over those businesses came from Murang'a. All right? Now, if you're talking about control for the city, if you look at people who were MPs, people who then became councillors, there was always that divide. There were those who were originally domiciled and came from Kiambu, and those who came from where? Murang'a. Predominantly. Then other communities who were in town started getting into politics, and it happened. And as they say, at that particular point in time in our history, what you found was that very many prominent politicians actually were MPs of certain sections of this particular city. Whether it is Tom Mboya, whether it's Mwai Kibaki, whether it's Achieng' Oneko, it doesn't really matter who these people were, but they were in towns. They were not in the rural homes. But as our politics evolved, that's when now people decided to go back. But many of our leaders were actually leaders within this great city of Nairobi. I just thought I would mention it in passing.
Good learnings.
It is quite.
Speaking of learning, learning resumes in schools next week.
Yes. 10th of May is when most schools will open, and we also see colleges opening on that date as well. Those who will not go back to school, however, are grade 4s who are expected to go to grade 5. Now, if we look at the calendar and the way it was then mashed up, the grade 4s, along with the grade 8s and form 4s, were supposed to take exams. And so by the time schools were opening in October, those were the only sets of students then who went back to school so that they could finish the third term and essentially be prepared for the exams which would take place in March this year.
Yes.
And so with looking at COVID and everything that was happening at that time, I believe at that time as well is when the second wave hit in the country and everybody was really worried. Why are we sending children back to school, etc., etc.? The ministry still took the decision to send them back to school just so that they could prepare for their exams. And looking at the staggered way in which they had already prepared the school schedule, it was necessary then for them to go back at that time so that they could come in, finish their exams, and then wait out the next 12 weeks so that now everybody goes back to school for the new term at the same time, and then we can get the ball rolling in terms of getting back onto a structured schedule. So that as things had been set up, by the time all this rolls out and we have these packed schedules, come 2023, everybody goes back to school in January for a new term. So we get all this backlog out of the way. Now, what does this mean? It meant that some students would not go back to school in October like the rest did, but then also coming back to finish the third term thereafter, it meant that some students would have to stay out of school because they had then already completed their third term.
Yeah.
The problem herein is that you then have about 11 weeks of school there where people will be completing the third term, and then you have these grade 4s who've already finished grade 4, waiting to go to grade 5, but the rest of the country is in third term of the previous year. So we can't allow you go to grade 5. We have others coming in. The grade 5s who should be going to grade 6 are still in grade 5. What are we going to do? The best option that the ministry decided to take: stay home. Relax.
You finished your year.
Wait for the year to begin. While these others finish what you had finished a year ago. Now, parents are not very happy about this. Parents have said, well, that's all well and good. We know that we have finished the year, but what on earth are we supposed to be doing with these children at home? We have 2 other children, for example. One is in Form 3. Another one is in grade 1. Then we have this one who's completed grade 4 and is supposed to go to grade 5. I had prepared so that everybody can go to school at the same time. What are we supposed to do with this child at home? I had even gotten rid of my house help because all my children will be in school. I don't need anybody to come and take care. That means an extra expense for me. What are they going to be doing at home? They're going to go into degenerate. I mean, look at some of the reasons that we've heard, that they're going to now lose a lot of what they had learned previously. So, appealing to the ministry, can we please have some form of continued education for these children who are going to stay at home for the next 3 months? Ministry said, we are sticking to our schedule. Parents went to private schools and said, hello, we are ready to pay a little bit of something for these kids to come to school. Let's not even call it term learning. Let's just call it extra learning, something to keep them busy. Apart from that, they're also saying, you know what? If they stay at home, they're going to be introduced to some kind of harm, which we are not ready to deal with. The revised unease is what they're saying now has emerged over the fate of grade 4 learners, even as the government directed that the children remain at home when schools open Monday. In the circular to regional, county and sub-county directors of education, the Ministry of Education states that grade 4 children must remain at home. This circular came out a week ago Monday by Basic Education Principal Secretary.
This Monday?
Yeah, on the 3rd of May. Okay? This past Monday. And said Juan Julius says that only the pre-primary 1 and 2, grade 1 to 3, standard 5 to 7, and form 1 to 3 learners will resume classes on Monday next week. The revised school calendar provides that only these learners will report to school to complete term 3 under the 2020 school calendar. However, parents and guardians have expressed concerns over a possible repeat of the effects of extended stay at home that were experienced last year during the prolonged closure of schools. Now, grade 4 learners are
what age?
10 years old? No. Yes. 9, 10 years old, right? Yes. They're at that age. And parents are saying some of the things that we saw before. Now, if you highlight some of those problems that we saw before, we saw pregnancy, we saw young boys going off to get work to do and then not being interested in coming back to school. I don't know if these children fall specifically in that category of who would be in harm's way. But parents and guardians are concerned that some of these problems would affect them. So they're saying during the 10-month stay at home occasioned by the COVID-19 pandemic, there were cases of early pregnancy, drug and substance abuse, child labor, delinquent behavior. There were also cases of school dropouts, and they started to be engaged in commercial ventures that made them lose interest in education. And others even went off and got married. So parents are saying, you know what, this is too long. Something needs to be done. Those who now can afford private lessons are going to private schools and saying, you know what, we'll pay. Keep them engaged. Do something. But we cannot have them at home. Others are saying, we just can't afford it. In my mind, I knew during the day, children are at school, we meet at home in the evening. I don't have help to take care of them at home, and I have to go to work. What are we going to do?
Okay, so if you think about it just technically, from the ministry standpoint, they had to reorganize the school calendar. And they looked at, first of all, the candidate classes, and this was grade 4.
Yes.
Standard 8
and Form 4.
You're going to sit an exam because you're moving to the next level.
Yes.
Grade 4s are the pioneer CBC students, so they were doing this because they need to do some assessment to move to grade 5 as they progress with CBC. Standard 8 and Form 4s, it's very clear. They did their exams. Standard 8, the results are out. Form 4s, the results should be coming out from any time from today into early next week. Okay? Now, with that also, the reorganization of the calendar meant that the new academic year begins in July.
Yes.
So that we can give time for these ones to finish. So sitting back like that, you can see clearly what the government is saying is these ones will just need to stay home a little bit longer to allow the other classes to finish their academic year.
Yes.
So that the ones who are currently in grade 5 move on, standard 5, move on to standard 6 to allow the grade 4s move into grade 5.
Yes.
Otherwise, there's no space. From that point, I can clearly see.
Me too.
From the parent side as well, I can see what they're saying. So these kids are at home. These are those young kids, they want to play. And there's an opportunity maybe for them to play. Why not allow them to play? This dicey bit comes here with if you as a government say, let them reopen school, and you're not advancing the syllabus. Reopening school, an order to reopen schools by Ministry of Education means school fees to be paid. It means all the expenses that come with a child going to school are actually put into play. But the child is actually not advancing the syllabus. So why do it? If you as a government come in and say, okay, schools can have some tuition for these children, then you're going against your own policy that talks about holiday tuition.
Yep.
Because there's a ministry policy and directive that says holiday tuition banned because of what it was doing. It had become a commercial enterprise. So all of us are caught there in the middle.
I can see why the ministry did this. There was no space, and already you have a cramped schedule. You normally have a term being 14 weeks, n'est-ce pas? And then now what happens is that it was cramped into 11 weeks because this is what we have now. Every term is 11 weeks. The shorter term 3, is 10 weeks. And whereas you would have a longer holiday towards the end of the year, this happened in the beginning of the year that we've just finished now, where instead of the normal, 8 weeks, 9 weeks that they would get, they had this 7-week period then just before Easter. So then you take another 11 weeks to finish term 3. Then you're going into term 1 of the next year. It's still 11 weeks. You take term 2 for another 11 weeks. They had no choice because they lost 10 months in the previous school calendar. You really you really say at that time that it makes sense. They had no choice but to do that. It was either that or forget about that entire year, 2020. And then bring them in, but you would still have the same thing. And I can understand the part about, it's an expense. What are we going to do in terms of losing from what your child is able to get in their mind for schooling and such? But they went to school for 3 months when everybody else was at home. I don't see now why it would be so difficult to keep them here then for these 11 weeks before they now go into the next class.
You don't see?
I can understand.
They stand
it.
to lose nothing.
I don't see what they would lose. I
Let's
don't
take
see
a
what they
break.
would lose. They're going into a new class. They're done with the other one. It's not like the others who had started term 2, right? And were just kind of waiting to go to term 3. They're done with the year.
Yeah, that's
They're
true.
going to learn on a new slate now for a new class. They're finished.
All that is true. That's true. We'll hear from Mwalimu after this break. And we also want to hear from you. Should grade 4s reopen schools next week with the rest of the learners? Because there are very many parents who are saying, let the children just go back to school and learn. Should the grade 4s reopen schools next week with the rest of the learners who are reopening schools? 0719-012-600 or SpiceFM KE, YouTube, Facebook and Twitter. GenerationNextChallenge.com, right on time. As your children are at home, those in grade 4, or even those in kindergarten, all the way to grade 11, you can keep them busy by making them take up this Kenya National Challenge, where they get to learn more about maths, computer science, robotics, computational skills to be sharpened, and also just connecting math to real life. Log on to GenerationNextChallenge.com, register your child and see what they can do during this period. Good morning.
...24/7, around the world, non-stop. This is Spice FM.
It's time to answer questions that are worthwhile. The Big Quiz Show is here. Register to play from the comfort of your home by SMSing the word JOIN to 23774. Then watch the live show on KTN every Sunday from 8 p.m. where you could have a chance to win a mealie. The fastest and most accurate answers.
All right, looking at sunny conditions in some parts of Nairobi. We'll see highs of 24 today and lows of 16. It's cloudy in Nyeri at 17, highs of 23. 23 would also be the high in Nakuru, where it's cloudy at 15, and mostly cloudy conditions in Eldoret at 16, going to highs of 21 and lows of 14. Cloudy in Kisumu at 20, highs of 26. Light rain in Kakamega at 20, highs of 25 and lows of 17. It's mostly cloudy in Mombasa at 25. We'll go to highs of 29. 30 will be the high in Malindi, where it's mostly cloudy at 26. Heavy thunderstorms this morning in Kampala at 19. Highs of 25 and lows of 18. Dar es Salaam is mostly cloudy at 24. Highs of 27 and lows of 22. It's 11 degrees and clear in Johannesburg. Highs of 19 and lows of 10. And Lagos is mostly clear at 25 degrees. Highs of 31, lows of 26. Kinshasa is clear this morning as well at 23. Highs of 31. Coming back down to lows of 23.
Spice up your life. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right.
It's 20 minutes after 7.
94.4 Spice.
012-600. Should grade 4s reopen schools with the rest of the learners next week, just to keep them busy and to keep them occupied in a learning environment? That's what we'd like to hear from you. SpiceFM KE on YouTube, Facebook and Twitter. Before we hear from our old man in the studio, Mr. C.T. Muga, let's hear from another old man, Medusela. Medusela, good morning.
Good morning. How are you today?
Very well, thank you. How are you? You're in Nakuru, aren't you?
I'm in Nakuru.
Yes.
Now, I was wondering, you have students in private schools wanting to go to school. Others in public probably will not go to school if that is what they want to do. And then at the end of the day, these children will sit for the same test. What we are trying to say is they are not in the same conditions. To have students do the exam that you can call they must be exposed to the same conditions.
But in this particular case, though, Methuselah,
yes,
the order is for the grade 4s have already finished grade 4. They are waiting to join grade 5.
Yeah.
Now, those that are campaigning to have their children go back to school and then they're finding listening ears in the private sector are basically saying we're going to roll out a holiday camp. So, for instance, something that will just keep your children engaged and occupied during this time. We've lost Methuselah, but the issue there is not that they are going to continue learning ahead of the others. They may. Nothing stops the school from basically starting to roll out the grade 5 curriculum. Really, if you think about it. But let's hear from the national chairperson of the Parents Association, Mr. Nicholas Mayo, who joins us on the line. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Welcome to the Situation Room. Thank you very much for speaking to us.
Thank you so much for having me at the Situation Room.
Now, Nicholas, there's this whole issue of the grade 4s and the reopening of schools next week.
Yes.
Some of your members, as the National Parents Association, some of the members have raised concern and saying, well, we have these young children and they're going to be remaining at home while the others go back to school. I'm a parent, have children in other grades. What do I do with this one who remains at home? And so they want their children to go back to school. Have you heard that? Has that been brought to your desk at the National Parents Association?
Yes. In fact, this is what is happening in our homes. We have children in grade 5, in standard 6, standard 7, and grade 3. So there's some rivalry between the siblings themselves.
Yep.
Because, remember when we had grade 4 going to school and leaving the rest behind, we still had the same problem. Because a mother would wake up a grade 4 child, maybe at 5, but the rest of the children are still sleeping. So this one will also want to sleep like the sibling.
Yeah.
So when this one came to our attention, the biggest reason is many children of grade 4 will stay longer, up to maybe July, so that they can change the rest. The reason is the calendar would not allow them. We have not finished term 3 of we have not finished term 3 of
their
grade
current
5,
grades, yes.
of the current class 5. So class 5 are still there. Public school, we don't have enough space. And if we say let's have grade 4 to go to school, that means we will have two cohorts. We will have grade 5 and the current standard 5. So that is the challenge. And then, but the wishes of many parents is that during the 10 months long closure, our children went through a lot of challenges. That was the teenage pregnancies, child labor, and so many other bad prices, especially loss of value. So many parents would wish their children to be in school. And I know it has a lot of implications, like school fees, which must pay for him. But then, teachers also will be faced by a big backlog of work. But the wish of many parents is that they want their children to be busy in school, and because they believe school is more safer than home. So when this thing came to our attention, we discussed as an association, and we planned that we need to engage other stakeholders, that is the teachers, the ministry, and anybody who's interested in it, so that all of us can come into a win-win situation where the parents will not have to feel the burden of paying school fees. At the same time, the burden of the challenges of the sibling rivalry at our homes.
So how far have you gone with these conversations, with the stakeholder engagement? Have you talked with the Ministry of Education?
Yes, we are finalizing with our own members. That is the county chair, the sub-county, and the school PA members. After we finish, we'll now petition the ministry to a roundtable conference so that we express our concern.
Bonamaya, so what you're saying essentially is that you're saying give them something to do. Because if you ask that these learners go in and start grade 5, it is going to throw off everything completely. So, and understanding that the ministry had, set out this schedule and everybody had kind of accepted where it's going. So you're saying just give them extra work to keep them current, but not necessarily that they now go to grade 5.
Exactly.
I see.
Because the private sector, the private association sector, or the private schools for that matter, are doing it now.
Yeah.
And have accepted the present grade 4 children go to school. But for us, we don't have space as public school. Yes, space is limited for us.
So how would that work, really? Wouldn't it be the option then to keep them at home? Because if public schools don't have space, you can't bring them in. Neither can you say go to the next.
Look.
You say they don't have...
Mr. Mayo.
Yes, sir.
There is no grade 4 in school, but there's a grade 4 classroom. Assume that we're actually... When we reopen the entire school in July,
yes,
there's going to be a grade 4 classroom. There's going to be a grade 5 classroom. The current standard 5s will have moved into the next class, which is standard 6, and though our current grade 4s will become grade 5s. There's a classroom that is not going to be occupied next week when schools reopen. So we can't really say that there's no space. There's space.
No. You see, transition should be smooth. We're just calling them grade 4, but actually these are the former standard 4.
Yes.
These are the former standard 4. And grade standard 5 have not finished their term 3.
Yes.
So they are still standard 5.
That's true.
And this one have graduated, have transited grade 5.
Yes.
You see?
Yes.
So we cannot have 2 cohorts of class 5 and grade 5 at the same time.
That I understand and I completely agree. What I'm just saying is there's space to have these children in school without rolling out this grade 5 curriculum and the syllabus, but then they can report to school and they can be kept busy. Whatever. Give them books to read. Let them redo something that they were doing in grade 4.
Exactly.
Let them start thinking. Teach them something else, values. Come up with something. But you can basically keep them engaged. Call it a holiday camp. But let them not stay at home. Let them go to that school, safe environment.
Those are actually the views of most of the parents.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, thank you very much. So when you have a conversation with the Ministry of Education, that's supposed to be around next week, hopefully?
Yes. Maybe Tuesday, Wednesday.
Okay.
Yes.
We will get in touch with you to hear how that has come out.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Nicholas
you.
Mayo is the national chairman of the National Parents Association. So, you hear now what the parents are basically saying. That environment called school is a better environment for our children to be in than this environment called home. And if it's possible, let's find a way of keeping them engaged. That's one angle. The children themselves, the siblings, have issues with one another. Why are you going to school and why am I not going to school?
Is that not an issue that the parents can resolve? It's become a national issue, I understand. But you see, we are talking about the norm being changed here. Now, we all protest. We at some level, children are more amenable to change than grown-ups. And the older you get, it is argued, the less inclined you will be towards change. So I'm hearing all these challenges. Some of these structural things, like what the ministry can do, those are straightforward. The ministry can do this. They can put this into operation. They can do all that. The challenges that they're being brought about with the children, it doesn't point to the children. It points to the parenting and why a parenting issue is now being made a national issue. These are your children. Yes, you will be uncomfortable about the situation. It is made possible and easier in a private setup. Because in a private school, remember, this is a business that does business in the education sector. And so the person they listen to is the parent. They really listen to the parent. Because this is
because without them bringing their children there, you have no business to run.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the issue that we're dealing with, there's one that I don't hear coming out clearly. The real challenge with a child staying at home in this current day and age is the expense.
Expense, that's it. It's the expense. And you can imagine parents who are look at it. A lot of parents, if you look at where the conversations have been happening, parents have been saying, you know what, we actually cannot wait for this May 10th so that there's an expense then that we can reduce. People are sending their home managers away for the next 3 months, and they know that expense, we don't have to have it. So now you're basically saying those who have and I'm going to work. I can go to work now because the children are not there. The other parent can also be at work and not have to worry about that. You must remember that if they're at home, they will consume. Somebody needs to take care of them. And they had seen that it is the expense for a lot of people that is not coming out clearly. After all, what explanation did you give to them when it was only them going to school between October and December and the others were staying at home?
They're candidates. So simple.
But also remember...
It was simple to say. Let's take a break, City, and then we continue. At 28 minutes to 8 o'clock, we want to take a look at traffic, how the roads are looking this morning, and then we pick more of your calls, 0719-012-600. Should grade 4 pupils reopen with other learners next week as they wait to join grade 5 in July? Call it whatever you want to call it. Engage them. But let them live home and go back to school. Good morning.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. Spice up your life.
Thank you.
The political class, the contestants, everybody is trying to outsteal the other.
Remorse is not taught in any school. Manners is something you get from your mother. You don't get it from your political party.
Why are we so unfocused as a country? Why are we spending money and resources, yet we have real challenges in this country?
This coronavirus pandemic should teach us one thing, that universal healthcare is critical. Because at this point, whether you have a medical card that covers you, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Okay, as was bound to happen, Donholm this morning is jam-packed. Outer Ring, then, that route that everybody's using as an easier route to get into the city. Well, guess what? Everybody's there now, and so that means quite a lot of traffic. Mombasa Road also piling up as you get towards the Nyeri Stadium roundabout. Traffic plus construction plus everything equals more traffic. It's thumping right around Ngara, headed into the city. All the traffic coming from Thika Road, past Pangani, in there, one absolute mess. We're trying to get out, use Wangari Maathai Road. That is going to help this morning in terms of diffusing some of that mess that's there. All right, the Likoni interchange that connects with Mombasa Road, that is also packed in both directions, trying to head in and out and then go towards the city. So watch out for that one. Still closed on the Bunyala stretch there after the Nyeri Stadium roundabout. Can't use that yet, at least until the 21st of May. We're going to wait and see how that goes. About 2 weeks or so to see if that will open then. All right, so let's keep it moving, guys, as much as we can. Talk on SpiceFM KE on Twitter, just in case there is a way out. If you're in that Donholm area and you find a good route, let us know. The service lanes on Thika Road, that's your best bet this morning. Text as well, 40127.
87.9 Spice FM, Mombasa. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4.
Okay, 25 to 8. So, City, you were saying that some of these things, it's the parenting issue that's becoming a national issue.
You see, I'm compartmentalizing these issues, okay? They are the realities. They are all realities, alternate realities, but realities nonetheless. If we are talking about what the siblings want, what they don't want, what they are doing, it's a parenting issue. These children live in a home. This home has a parent or has parents, but it's a domestic setup, and the people in charge are the grown-ups, okay? Now, if you have children and there's a change, I assume that parents have conversations with their children, depending on their age. So you will talk about it and you will decide, even when there was no COVID and all these changes were not there, there are always issues in a domestic setup where you have to explain, you have to separate children, there are disagreements. This is normal. It's a normal home situation where you have children. Okay?
Yes.
That's one. Secondly, you have to divide this discussion between private and public schools, because with public schools, the government will issue edicts and that will carry the
That's
day.
it, yeah.
Now, you have to comply. Private schools listen, as I said, to the paymaster, who is the parent. Okay, so if, for instance, and I'm giving this as an example, for instance, with the Standard 8 exams, the private schools have been complaining about the results, the marking, and everything that goes along with it. Remember, one of the things that private schools rely on are good results to attract parents. So if the results aren't as good as they wanted, it is not a good business situation that they want to find themselves in. So they have to ensure that anything that even smells of a rat, before they give in, certainly wasn't a rat. But they will. So even as we're talking about this discussion, what I'm saying, Erika, the discussions are mixed. Okay? But at the bottom of it is you have parents, you have children, and with the COVID, the parents are finding life extremely difficult. When you have both parents working, it isn't as though it's a hobby that they have decided to undertake. They need the resources. That is why they go to work. Now, when they go to work, they have a house help. And the reason is so that the house help can help them with manning the issues of the children if they're a certain age. And even if they are not of a certain age, you want an adult presence in the home. Suddenly, you have situations where your earning power is reduced. And when children are at home, they consume. But more importantly, they consume time, and it's not time that you can regulate because you're not there. In school, it's regulated for you. So you have them for a sleepover, then the following morning, they go back to school. Then you have them again for another sleepover, then the following day. It's only on the weekend. And weekend, you also have a weekend. This is destabilizing for parents. So a lot of what we're hearing, students, is the parents whose whole situation has been destabilized. If my mother feels cold, she will tell me to wear a coat.
You.
Because it's cold.
Because it's cold.
If
I am feeling cold, even you must be feeling
cold. The assumption
cold.
is that you're also feeling cold.
Wear a jacket.
You are wearing that jacket.
But where do you stand then on this particular issue? Should the children stay at home?
No.
Should they go home?
The children should go to school.
Go to school.
Yes.
I agree with you. I think they should open, call it whatever, holiday tuition, whatever. Keep these kids engaged for the next 1.5 months. All right? Let them go to school. Let them be engaged. There are teachers who teach Standard 4. They're there. There is a classroom that would have occupied a grade 4. It's still there. It's empty. There's a playing field. All those things are there. And the entire school community is there. So it's not like you're sending them to a place that is strange to them. People take the children on holiday camp anyway.
And school is a place that most children actually like going to school.
They love it.
They actually do love going to school.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think opening up the school and telling them, okay, so we have opened, but what's happening is that the grade 4s are not starting the grade 5 syllabus. What the grade 4s are going to do, the Ministry of Education had ample time to actually come up with a program of what these grade 4s could have been engaged in. They had all the time. Could have come up with something and said, this is what we want you to take these children through during this period. Whatever. If it's inculcating values, if it's doing practical. Call it whatever you want to call it. But let the children go to school.
Revision.
Yes. And there's a lot that could have been done. What do you think? 0719-012-600. Let's hear from you this morning. Should the grade 4s reopen school next week as with the rest of the learners as they wait to join grade 5 in July? Many parents have raised this issue. Many parents have gone to the private schools and said, okay, we will pay. Call it something, but we will pay. Let the kids come. Let them spend their days in school and come back home in the evening. Those in public schools don't have that option because public school is governed by the Ministry of Education directly, and if the headmaster does not have that instruction from the superiors of the ministry, the headmaster will not admit a grade 4 child to school. So those a majority who are in public schools are not going. And there's going to be a disadvantage here. Because among the issues that you're raising, City, yes, there is the parents financial situation. But then there's also the child. This child wants to play. We are in times of COVID. How do you even guarantee their safety as a parent when they get out of the house? One way of making sure that they get that safety is when you know that they are with people who have been trained to deal with people of this age group.
It's a safe environment.
Completely safe environment. Completely safe environment. And that's what we want to hear from you. 0719-012-600. Karanja in Naivasha, good morning.
Good morning, Eric Kidu and CT.
Good morning, sir.
I hear you advocating for the class 4 to go back to school.
Yes.
You hear us correctly, yes.
But Ndu is not
Yes,
with us. Ndu is on the other side. She says, well, they can still stay at home. They'll lose nothing much.
Yes, can you declare your interest too?
Oh, CT and Eric.
Yes, CT and Eric should declare their interest.
I am my interest is that the children should go to school. That is my interest. In fact, if it was a school motto, my motto would be children should go to school. That's the motto of the school.
Okay, you see, the private school compared to the private school and the public school.
Yes.
First of all, the private schools, they are looking at assumption of money. Because, for instance, if you look at Naivasha here, for instance, the buses that I saw them early in the morning, they pick those from standard 1 to standard 8. Currently, there is no standard 8. Now, they are looking there, class 4, just for money. The assumption is money, but not looking at how the children do when they are at home. Maybe for the next 1.5 months. 1 month and
Karanja, may I ask you a question, please?
Yes.
These are private school. It's a business. So where is their fault if they're looking for money? Yes, they are looking for money. The area of trade is education. So what have they done wrong?
The thing is, let the children stay at home. They have other extracurricular activities.
Like?
For instance, maybe me, I'm living in a rural area here in Naivasha, all right?
Yes.
I have some sheep. I have some cow to graze, or maybe some sheep. I have some chicken to be looked after. I have other things like they can go and have the firewood for the grandmother. So those are extra curriculum activities that we can even let us create a conducive environment for these children, for class 4 children. So that they can engage with their grandmother there. They can engage with their uncles, their aunties there. Why go to school?
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you,
To me-
Karanja. We hear you.
Okay. Thank you, Eric.
Asante. Alphonse in Mombasa.
Yes, Eric. You see, my question is, you see, these boys, the learners will open in May. Then they go to school up to July.
Yep.
Then they, according to the Ministerial guidelines, they are supposed to start learning again from July.
Yes.
So what will happen? Will they again close or will they continue learning? And remember, these are 10-year-old babies, 10 years. So that means they will be keeping the learners in school for about 20 weeks. Will it be possible? So they will run away.
There's a holiday coming
It's
up.
going to happen. What's happening in this case, Alphonse, is that the holiday period that you would normally expect to be 3 weeks long will be a week long. So they will go to school and complete this third term by the first week of July. They'll be at home for a week and then they will start the first term of the next school year in
So
July.
they'll be in
And then
school
they will
longer.
go. Sorry?
They will be in school longer.
They will be in
That is
school
the
longer.
reality.
Actually, what will
By how
happen?
many
The truth of the matter is, they will be in school for a shorter period of time than they usually are. But the difference is that the holiday period will be shorter. So it looks like they're in school for a longer period. Whereas the truth is that they're in school for a shorter term period, but shorter holiday period as well. Because
so
they're
if they are
trying to
already
do more in a
in
shorter
class,
period of
if
time.
If they're already in class 4 and they have already completed their syllabus, what will they be learning in during the time they will be in school from May to July?
They will
be in class what?
They'll be engaged. It will not be a class. It will be like holiday camp.
So they will be doing what? That is what is my question.
Eric says we can call it revision, something to keep them engaged, to make sure that they don't lose out.
It has no any other word apart from looking for money. These guys are in business. They are looking for money. There are children who will be collected by buses. They will be paying for transport. Some of them are saying they will be half day. We will be learning from 7:45. I'm talking to you because I'm a parent of Alana, who is in grade 4. And I've been having a conversation with the school regarding this, and they have become adamant that the children should open. This is completely looking for money. There's nothing else.
If I may ask, if you'll allow me, please. Yes, they are a business, and yes, they're looking for money. That's how businesses operate. But is there nothing that the parent gains? Is there nothing that the child gains?
What are they going to gain? They are already completed their syllabus for class 4. So you mean you want to say they should be ahead in class 5? And you must know that the learners in private school will be in school, while the learners in public schools will be at home.
Which is why we are raising the issue, Alphonse, and saying. That's why we are raising the issue and saying, let the Ministry of Education actually open up all schools for grade 4s and have a program for them. So
this is a reorganization. You see now, these guys had already planned. They had already put a plan into place that the learners of grade 4 should open on 26th July. Let us not confuse the government. You see, when the government comes up with a policy, I will assure you.
You feel this would confuse the government?
Yeah.
Okay.
You want to open, you don't want them to open. This is completely confusion. They had already planned, and they say that the learners
this is where it's going to be.
Open. Yes. So there again, you come back and when the schools are 1 week.
You're
open,
right, Alphonse.
You start saying now, no, go back to because we go to work and we don't want our children to be at home alone. Let us stick to government programs.
Okay, thank you very much, Alphonse.
Okay, thank you.
Asante sana. Audrey in Kino, good morning.
Morning, Eric. How are you?
Very well, thanks.
Morning, Ndu. Morning, City.
Morning,
Good
Audrey.
morning, Audrey.
So, okay. I have never been for the idea of schools reopening, especially right within the third wave. And now we hear that the Indian variant is in Kenya.
Yep.
So, anyway, this is the situation we are at right now. Schools are opening. Now, I think the ministry had more than enough time to plan. And in their meetings and stakeholder engagement, I am very sure this issue must have come up at one point. Because there is no way you're going to tell us that the ministry were all completely oblivious of the reaction of parents to this issue. It must have come up at some point. Was it addressed when it came up? That is my question. And if it wasn't, why not? Because it is obvious this is a public outcry from everywhere. So for me, since this is the situation we are in, if it were up to me, these kids would not have gone back to school just yet. But anyway, they are going back to school. I think grade 4 should be engaged at one point or the other.
Okay.
Let's whatever it is they will call it, let them find something. Because we saw what happened during the 10 months when they were all home. And let's not bury our heads in the sand and pretend like that is not going to happen again with these 11 weeks.
It's likely to happen. Thank you very much, Audrey.
Thank you.
Thank you. 0719 012 600. What do you think? Should the grade 4s reopen with the other learners next week? Or should they continue staying at home and wait to reopen in July as they join grade 5? 10 minutes to 8. Let's take a break. Remember, GenerationNextChallenge.com. Register your child who is in the ages between the kindergarten age and grade 11. They participate in the Kenya National Challenge. GenerationNextChallenge.com.
24/7 around the world, non-stop. This is Spice FM.
as the Kenyans are roared into the home straight here. 4 Kenyan queens have lit up this balmy Bahamian night.
It's where the rivalry is unmatched, where the soul meets the track, where the great are distinguished from the good. An arena where the records are broken.
A new world record. It's not just been beaten, it's been obliterated.
A stage where the legends are born. For Team Kenya, the Olympics is more than just a sport. It is our tradition. It's an event that has put Kenya on the roadmap. The Standard Group lets you watch every minute and every action live in the 2020 Tokyo Olympics, because we live for Team Kenya. We live for the game. At Standard Group, sports lives here.
Classic soul, R&B, smooth jazz, neo soul, and nostalgic ballads.
Make some noise. Yeah!
You're listening to Spice FM. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself.
8 a.m. 8 minutes to 8 a.m. The conversation continues. 0719-012-600. What do you think? Should grade 4s reopen? Henry Kamala says schools should open, but with classes doing shifts to enable adequate spacing. That's George in Syokimau. Okay. Peter Kimngeno, they will not reopen. They should just stay at home. Okay. Mary Kivuva, they will be going to school in July. Jacqueline Awando says, nope, let us meet in July. Hi. George in Syokimau is actually on the line. George, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
Good morning.
I'm fine. I just wanted to contribute on the schools reopening.
Yes.
With the biggest challenge we have is with the spacing. I'm just thinking, why hasn't the government thought of, you have some kind of shift so that you have, let's say, class 1 to 3 doing Monday and Wednesday. So you kind of manage it like that. That way you're going to manage numbers that attend at any particular time.
But spacing was not an issue in the last term, George.
No, it was. I can tell you some of the schools, actually, there was a problem. It's just that we are not speaking that there was infections in schools. There was silence on that part.
Okay.
Yeah? Yes. So why do we say we need spacing in offices and other places, but in schools we are quiet on that?
Okay. So one of the ways that you want to look at it is have it in shifts. Let some learners learn in the morning and then others come in the afternoon.
They can have it in the morning, or they can have the skip. You come on a Monday, skip Tuesday, come on a Wednesday, so that you have that spacing. Because if you do it Monday shifts, afternoon and morning shift might be tricky logistically.
Yeah.
But if you have them coming based on the different days, it will be managed, and it will be easier on the parents as well.
Okay. Food for thought. Thank you very much, George.
Thank you. Welcome.
Asante. Amani in Mombasa, good morning.
Morning, how are you?
Fine, thank you.
Children should go to school. They need to go to school. Let me ask you. Okay, let me share this. The parents do not understand that syllabus of the new curriculum, first of all. Wakika kwa nyumba, they, other than doing the house chores, they do not understand what is supposed to follow 1, 2, 3, and 4. And if you ask the child, they actually miss school. They need to be in an environment where they are able to do what they love most, because nobody has researched to see, do they want to go to school? And they will tell you, we want to go. And you know, actually when teachers are there and they have to teach these children, it's not about space. Children know even how to, wakiambiwa songeni hivi wakai, and they already know that problem exists about space. So it's not about space. It is about what they will be doing at home. Will it be constructive to, you see, like now I go to work, the father goes to work. Now my child is in class 4, a new syllabus has come. Hata hawajaijua. So we are assuming at home they will stay with the house help who will tell them math asubuhi nini, and nobody's monitoring it. They need to be engaged, and also they have known how to do online classes. Even when it's swimming, they will tell you we are doing swimming. It is online, and whatever it is, they are doing PE online. Can you imagine? Do I start swallowing all that? Let them go to the teachers. Then we coordinate with the teachers as parents. But they can't stay at home until July. They are going to watch play stations and movies which are irrelevant for them right now. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Esther. Have a good day.
I suspect she meant PlayStation.
That's what she meant.
Yes, and we understand it.
Yeah.
You know, if you listen to this entire discussion, really, what keeps coming out is the discomfort and the issues that parents have with this system, with what is going on, especially what we're talking about is change. These changes are causing a problem. Whether it is changes because someone's financial situation has changed, whether it is changes because you have a new system, but the parents are uncomfortable. And the reasons are as varied and as diversified as their parents. But the complaints we throw in the children every once in a while. But even when you talk about private schools, parents willingly take their children to private schools, and they understand why they take their children there. It isn't as though these are public schools that in the middle of the learning of your child suddenly become private schools. No, they're private. There's no mistaking that it's a business and they run it as such. But the beauty of that structure is that they listen to the parents. I'm not saying the government doesn't. The government also does, but a private school more so. Because this parent is a direct representation of your earning. Very, very direct.
There's a school that's not listening to a parent. Alphonse is saying that the school is adamant that they want the child to come to school. And Alphonse is wondering, this child has finished their syllabus for grade 4. They are due to join grade 5 in July. What do you want the child to come and do?
Even private schools have parents' associations. So the question I would ask is, what is the position of the parents' association? If I am one parent and I have an issue, if there are two of us, and the rest of my fellow members of the PA have a different view, their vote will carry the day. I will protest, but their view will carry the day. How many things are implemented in private schools because the PA has consensus? There are parents who dissent, but you are allowed to dissent because yes.
Do we think that people were aware that this was going, because this announcement did not start on the 3rd of May?
Yeah.
It was released last year in September.
Yes.
In September last year.
People had not internalized.
That's what I was going to say. Had folks not internalized that these grade 4s who would essentially finish the term in December and then take in March, and then after they did their assessment last year and then finish the term in March this year, did it not click that essentially what your government is telling you is that your children will be at home for 3 months? When we're all looking at that thing left, right and center shouting, nobody saw it. Nobody saw it and said maybe that was the time to ask questions. This thing has been there for 6 months. This circular that was sent on the 3rd of May was a reminder of what had been said 6 months prior. We were not prepared. Nobody had looked at it before.
But chickens are coming home to roost.
But no.
Is a first because...
Look, sorry, Eric, please say what you're saying.
Okay.
I was just going to ask this question. If you have a school-going child and you've gone to buy uniforms because it's a new year, don't you find it fantastic that you have all the holiday period to arrange to get this uniform, but on the day before schools open, or 2 days before, you see, I mean, the queues are fantastic.
Yeah, I'm sure this weekend is going to be quite fun. Just go there Saturday, Sunday. You see people lining outside till.
Yes. Yeah. So it's us and change.
You go.
That's it. It's 8 o'clock. Let's take a look at the traffic and then look at other conversations.
Spice up your life. This is the Situation Room the home
Okay,
of
guys,
hard-hitting...
so there's a little bit of a hold-up on Gong Road this morning as you try to approach the city mortuary roundabout. It's not too bad, though, but it just slows down a little bit. Okay, then looking at Thika Road coming into the city centre, some traffic there, but it will be all right. So today is not that crazy Friday, well, at least not yet, and we know that things can shift anytime. But if you're going on smoothly, you might want to keep that pace and be careful even as you ply the routes, but traffic might just pick up from all indications. We're just going to keep an eye on that and see if it does, how it does. The best way to go about it, talk to us on SpiceFM KE or text us on 40127.
This is the Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Oko, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latin, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is the Situation Room.
This is my mic. 2 minutes after 8, Kenya's biggest conversation. It continues into the third hour of the show. Very good morning to you wherever you're tuned in. SpiceFM online, SpiceFM KE, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, or www.spicefm.co.ke. Or those who are joining us now on KTN Home for the next 1 hour, a very good morning to you. Welcome to your radio experience on TV. CT, today's proverb.
Indeed. Peace doesn't make a good ruler.
Peace doesn't make a good ruler.
Nope, it doesn't.
You need a full ruler.
Actually, let's talk about it. Lived experience. Okay? If you have an opportunity to undergo difficult times, it's called experience. Okay? Now, that experience may seem troublesome, but in many ways, it's preparation. You may not like it, you may not enjoy it, you may not even want the experience. But whether you like it or not, it affords you a perspective that you would never have if you didn't go through those things. It's like learning. Why is it that people emphasize learning so much? It's the experience. Why do people emphasize the joys and the pleasures of traveling? It's the experience. Okay. So all these things contribute to your welfare as a human being. And people enjoy these things because, bottom line, it helps improve the person that they are, even if it's only in your own eyes and in your head. But there is some benefit you derive from it. Yes. Now, if you're going to be a leader, it means there are people who rely on you to help make decisions or push forward an agenda that will be of their benefit. Essentially, you are a representation of all these people. My friend, there is no better training ground than when you have to deal with a variety of issues, none of which may be to your liking.
Fire makes better steel.
Yes.
Okay, get it. I get it. So we're seeing a lot of reforms in the lands ministry. So there was the launch of the digital platform, the National Land Information Management System, and now there's an announcement on what's going to happen to those who have acquired land irregularly. What's that announcement?
Well, this is something that is attributed to our land CS Farida Karone. Okay? And they're saying that this is the statement. Well, part of the statement. It was a long statement that was made. He said, it will take some time because it has taken us 60 years to create this chaos. It will be painful to some people, but we have to undertake it if we are to act in a more accountable manner. Yes. Now, what they're actually saying, remember, with the launch of this new system of Adisasa, there are many statements that were made, okay? But one of the things that stood out to me was, and I quote here, the sector has experienced a lot of irregular fraudulent transactions over the 60 years. We are careful not to upload data of suspect quality or suspect integrity, she said. This was with reference. Why did I pick this up? When we talk about the Ardhi Sasa, it's part of a campaign. Remember, we have had what you call the Sectional Properties Act, okay, which has also come in to try and, should we say, plug this particular hole that has been there for the longest time, where if you buy a flat, what the developer gives you is a long lease. But the mother title is a document that that particular developer can still use to get a loan. So in the event of there being a problem or there's a default, your flat is in peril. Okay? So now we have an act that is going to assure people who buy flats that they will be issued with a title deed. Not long lease, title deed. What am I saying? We are talking about a situation where there are huge land reforms that are being put into operation. Let me just read some of the key highlights of what is going on, all right? And with regards to the Ardhi Sasa, okay? The integration that is supposed to actually take place is this. Ardhi Sasa integrates with banks, judiciary, lawyers, and transacting land, all right? So any land transaction, you're directly connected. So if you took money from a fintech, okay, and you are with those fellows who blacklist you and tell the whole world that you are a bad person who owes money and you don't like paying, poop, it'll pop out, okay? And what also that means, if I gather this, is if someone is plugged in that system, one doesn't have to call anyone. The system can tell you what is actually going on, and the system can tell you the state of this. And why am I saying this even more confidently? Because one of the things that they're going to do, this database, as it becomes more stable, it will be connected with the rollout of the Huduma number. So your details, known, okay? One of the things that they did with this system, they hailed it as foolproof, okay? There is no such thing as a foolproof system, just so that we understand each other, but it has been hailed as such. And they're saying that the data is highly encrypted, which means even you trying to use it, you're going to have a hell of a problem. Yes, on transit and in servers. Well, that's what they say. They're also saying that land searches will take 5 minutes.
You like that one, I'm sure.
This one, I loved it. I said 5 minutes times what exactly? So, but let's stick with the 5 minutes, all right? There'll be audit trails to track any interference with the title deeds and records. Yeah, but that is something that is normal. Footprints within the data space is always there. You always leave a footprint. You may not think you do, but you actually do. And people who know how to manage it will be able to find you. All right? 2021, this is the year we're in. Ardhi Sasa will be live to 20 more counties, which means we are in May, June, July, August, September, October, November. 6 more months before that can happen, 2021. All right? It'll be accessible via smartphone or any computer device through www.ardhisasa.go.ke. That one, yes, doable. 2022, next year. The year they're saying the land ministry will be fully digitalized. Fully. So everything I'm talking about here, done, dusted. Okay? And 100 years of survey records will also be in that system.
Wow.
Okay? 1,500. Now, this is germane to the discussion. 1,500 parcels of land, of government, land, state are documented in Nairobi. That's here. Okay? What that means is this. If you look at these title deeds and the year they've existed, we will know which is government land. So you can actually go and say, currently as we speak, this government land, it may have changed hands. Now, government land is forest, etc.
Public utilities.
Etc. Etc.
Earmarked for hospitals.
Yes, schools, playgrounds. Yes. You may think that is not riparian land. Okay. Road reserves. All these things.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. But this Sectional Properties Act is yet to be listed on the digital platform. So all I'm saying is that everything we're saying, even with this discussion, is work in progress. But the question that keeps niggling at the back of my mind, attempts similar to this one, without the flowers that this particular one has, we've heard of before. So what makes this one different?
Of what? And reclaiming grabbed public lands?
Yes.
Right.
That pronouncement has been made over. We've even seen attempts at it. How will this be different?
So The other attempts at reclaiming grabbed public land have been met with challenges. There have been some successes. There have been some challenges. Some of the successes, Kenya Railways, with the ongoing reclamation of grabbed public land, they've managed.
No, they haven't. They are in the process of trying to manage it.
They have managed to reclaim some of the grabbed public land.
Some?
Yes. In some areas, they haven't. Same with schools. Grabbed public land returned to its original owner, the school. I think the greater issue when it comes to land is who is it that grabbed the land, and what kind of political connections do they have or did they have, and do they still enjoy that same political patronage? Because the biggest challenge that we have in all these things is politics. Nairobi, a lot of public land has been grabbed, has been sold off to the 10th generation of a buyer.
Yes, they have.
You go to some areas in Eastlands and then you're told the whole of this area in Embakasi used to be public land. Then you're given a chronology of, I don't know which politicians brought in squatters, and then those squatters, and then the next thing is that the squatters were pushed to only one corner, the other corner was left. Politicians sold off. Others now came in, bought, put up apartments. Place is fully occupied. Now come back and tell me that this is public land and you have about 100,000 people living there. What are you going to do with it? So a lot of the grab public land conversation goes into political patronage of the grabbers. Are we willing to deal with the land grabber himself, the original one?
I think that's what it comes down to. Because, look, the process of reclaiming this land is not a pretty one. It would not be pretty because then so many questions have to start being asked. How did this land get given? How was it handed over to the person who now says they own it, to the entity now who claims ownership of it? How did that happen in the first place? Before you then start unraveling that entire thing and saying, because you can't just go and stand on it and saying, we're taking this back as government.
No, they're not planning to do that.
You must go through the process.
That is what the minister has said.
Exactly.
They're going to follow
They will follow due process. And now that process will require a lot of asking questions. It will require investigations. It'll require asking questions to individuals who in some cases may no longer be living, and then whose families may have to answer these questions, which institutions then have to go through their records and start trying to find out what happened. And it's just that, if you ask me. The willingness to go through that process, number one. Number two, the willingness to take the cover off of some individuals who may be politically inclined or connected to ask those questions too. Is there willingness to be able to go that deep? Because that's just the truth. A lot of this land that we're looking at, whether we like it or not, is somehow linked to people who have a political inkling.
Yep.
That's just it.
It's a hot potato issue.
It's a serious one. And are they willing to do that?
She has admitted as such. What they have said they have done is that they have remapped the entire country. What in their maps qualify as government land will not feature in this system that they're talking about until they have determined. Because they understand. They're saying this. And I'm reading from what has been attributed to the land minister, that this land was sold to some people, and according to them, due process was followed because the people involved were people within the ministry. Said, these are sensitive discussions that we have to go through, following the process gently and slowly. And for this purpose, the properties such as the one where you were alluding to, it's Isili Embassy, you put that on a side, okay? Until you have determined. Now, it's in this process of determination where I will have a problem. Why I'm saying we'll have a problem, a 60-year-old problem, 2022 we have an election, 2022 we'll have new leaders coming in. Where is the guarantee that this process that has begun, and it is, let me say, an excellent process, okay? How will it see the light of day?
With the politics around it, it will not.
It will not see the light of day.
It will not. Look, all these places that we've talked about, right? Just the other day we saw the Kenya Airports Authority, many years back, went to reclaim their land in Syokimau. Went to court, Matter stayed in court for long, and the politicians sort of backed off. And now Kenya Airports Authority has won that case, right? The people who bought end up suffering. East Africa Portland Cement, also in Mavoko, has huge tracts of land where they have issued caveat upon caveat, even used the government of Machakos County to issue caveat that, look guys, this is East African Portland Cement land, please do not buy. Go there and you find people have put in bacons because they've bought these pieces of land. And if you dig, you will hear that people with political connections are behind this. It will not be touched because next year is a political year. Because if you dare today go and try and evict people, the kind of thing that we see happening every time there's an eviction is what will happen. This government is insensitive. This government does not know what it's doing. Oh, look at the governor. Oh, look at the president. Look, so where do you want people to go in the middle of a pandemic? So where do... Reclaiming means exactly that. Reclaiming means that you're moving people who have been living here and you're evicting them.
And they've not been there for a
and
minute.
The conversation
they've been
is
there
not,
for years.
oh, okay, so now you know what, you guys. So you've been living here, yes, poleni sana. You are innocent bystanders. We're going to move you and put you there. No, reclaiming is reclaiming.
It is reclaiming.
It's not going to happen.
It is reclaiming, but also consider, if it is government land, what was it earmarked for? There's something it was earmarked for. But it is within the purview of government to change the use of that land. They can. You can't change it. It's not as though it's an impossibility.
Yes.
How then do you think, for instance, you get to the Dagoretti corner, that corner, starting with the Met station, going on to Lana School and all that, and then you move back into Langata. That was forest. So what do? Forest. But with the time, there were changes made because procedure was followed. And I think if I hear the minister well, she's saying, look, just like there were anomalies, we are now going to follow procedure that we know should be followed in resolving these issues. Her resolve, I do not question. But this is Kenya. Land is as sensitive as in-laws. Okay? It is sensitive. How on earth are you telling me that you are going to straddle these particular problems and come, because it is desired? For the longest time, remember, part of the problem that schools and government institutions had, that land didn't have specific titles for the school. It was government land. And the law allowed people in leadership, especially the president. The president could actually give you land. It wasn't illegal. They could decide. Like, how do you think people end up with beach plots? The president could allocate it for you. I, myself, me, personally.
City.
Yes, I've had land allocated to me.
By the president.
Look, when they set up, say, for instance, a settlement scheme, and you apply, you'll have land allocated to you. It will be allocated to you. But it is stipulated. You must develop it, you must do this, you must do this, and you must do the other. It's allocated. For a long time, now people may not think this is true, but that was land that existed before, cut into smaller pieces, and people apply, and you get the land. Now, that seems like a fairy tale now. Land is divided, and then what happens? You get. No. The story now is you buy land. What am I saying? I am saying that it is a noble thing that is being done by the Ministry of Land, but at some level it sounds too noble to be true.
It's a noble thing. The statement that's been made by CS Farida Karone has been made by other lands ministers. James Orengo was a lands minister. He said this. Charity Ngilu was a lands minister. She said this. We are reclaiming. We even saw James Orengo. Actually, I remember James Orengo and Wangari Maathai had some piece of land in Westlands. But we are reclaiming this and we are giving notice for this. And Orengo left the ministry. He went back to Parliament. That land was still left there.
Could we say
Professor Wangari Maathai died. That land was still left there. Political goodwill is the problem. The grabbers have political connections. Those that now talk about reclaiming grabbed public land need to have some serious political goodwill, where somebody in political power is willing to sacrifice everything to make sure that something that is for public good goes back to public good. And it's a big issue, my friend. Even a small thing like there's a project that's been conducted for a long time, the construction of Ring Road Parklands. Okay?
Yes.
So it begins all the way from ABC, not ABC, the Mall Westlands, going down past Oshawa Center, past the Oval, right? Past the General Madenge roundabout. And it's supposed to go and meet with Limuru Road.
Yes.
In between there's a slum.
In between
it's called
there
Deep
is a
Sea.
slum. Yes, there is.
The road construction has stalled there because who is going to
remove the deep sea residents?
How did the deep sea residents start living there? They must have had some political blessing here. Next, political blessing. Next. Come in here. I have positioned myself. I have a number of voters here who are here. Now, that road project, public land, but you cannot move them. Political goodwill. It's a problem we're going to have anytime we talk about reclaiming public land. That's it. There's no politician who is willing to go that extra mile.
Because the process through which this land was given, if you want to look at it very clearly, probably wasn't squeaky clean. The process through which these individuals, deep sea, whether it's deep sea, whether it's the folks who are living on East Africa Portland Cement land on Mombasa Road, whether it's the fellows who are living in Kisumu Kibos on Kenya Railways land, wherever it is, the process through which they were allocated this land or given this land, as you say, had a political skew. You will find that in many cases it was like, all right, can I see that I can get an everlasting position politically in this area or some kind of backing always in this area, then let me use my political connections to make sure these folks have a place to live. Now, the person who is going to come in the future and for all good intents and purposes make such statements like we've heard here again coming from the Ministry of Lands to say that all public land we shall reclaim, all government land we shall reclaim. You must be ready, truly ready, to undo all that political web to get it back. If you're not ready, I'd rather you don't say it.
Don't touch it.
Don't touch it. Just leave it alone because it will not happen by just saying it. There's so much that needed to have been done by the time you're making such a pronouncement. And then that's just the beginning of it. You've not even hit the tip of this supposed iceberg. You know how they say iceberg, just the tip, the rest of it, the larger part of it is unseen and underwater. Are you ready to unravel this entire web that comes along with the allocation of this land in the first place, the undoing of it? Who do you have to make sure that you're ready to sacrifice? These investigations that are going to take place, who are you really ready to step on their toes at this point? If you're not ready to do that, leave it alone. Do other things like digitize the ministry, digitize the development, digitize. Talk about those other things. Digitize by 2022 the entire country. Reclaiming public land, if you're not ready to sacrifice and be sacrificed, tall order. Tall order.
By the way, this story goes on, and I'm simply agreeing with you in that from the time Nairobi was a city council and it had councillors, you will find that the fingers that you're talking about that should point to how people got there, it'll land with some councillor or the other. There's an estate in Nairobi called Woodley Estate. And there's a market that for the longest time was nestled around there called Toy Market. It's on Sona Road, okay? If you look at the land ownership, that land was first of all subdivided. The number of times that the land there has exchanged hands and the number of councillors, former councillors, politicians, whose names have appeared there, it's a plethora. So when there was a development coming along and they wanted to demolish to put up something newer, better for the traders. Remember, you're talking about a market on over just slightly over 3 acres, and you're talking about over 5,000 business people. You move them with this plan. First of all, how do you regulate the ownership of this land? Let's start there.
Start from that point.
Okay. How are you going to regulate it, and how far back are you going to go? And if you talk of compensation, who are you going to compensate? I use this as an example because those examples are replete in the city and in other big towns. We talked about the railways. The railway, quite aside from the government and the churches in this country, okay, specifically the Catholic Church and the Anglican Church, they were the largest landowner. There is nowhere near, forget town in this country, so long as the railway passed through it, that the railways did not own land. In those days, it wasn't even a problem. It was just the crown, the crown just gives you the land. They just give you, and you get. Okay? So, there are estates that have existed on former railways land for the longest time. They are old estates. What do you do with it? Give an example of Nairobi Golden Estate. That was railway land. here in Parklands, railway land, and then talk of other parastatals. I'm saying this thing
runs deep.
It runs
very
extremely deep.
Join the conversation on 0719-012-600 or SpiceFM KE, YouTube, Facebook and Twitter. 25 minutes after 8. Time for us to take a break. And also to remind you about jobs.standardmedia.co.ke, where you can find very many jobs that have been advertised by various people seeking various cadres of employees. Jobs.standardmedia.co.ke. You can register for alerts to be sent to you via email or via SMS. That is subscribing for such. And so when a relevant job is posted, you will be able to apply. Some of the jobs that have been posted, there are a number of them. Kenya Revenue Authority is looking for a supervisor for policy and IT risk management. It's also looking for supervisor IT license management. It's also looking for assistant manager application architect. The Kenya Revenue Authority is also looking for an officer systems administrator. It's looking for an officer business application support. It's looking for an officer IT resource management and reporting. These and many other jobs posted by Kenya Revenue Authority and other organizations. Jobs.standardmedia.co.ke. It's a website to check. We'll be back shortly.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. Spice up your life. 24/7 around the world, non-stop. This is Spice FM.
"24 teams, 12 host cities, 6 groups, all battling for one trophy. The long-awaited Euro 2020 is here at last upon us. The fans might not be within touching distance.
Good cross, Giroud attacks it and scores, and France are ahead!
But the atmosphere will only get to a fever pitch. From the 11th of June to the 11th of July, catch the tackles, the goals, and all your favorite football stars as the elite European nations go head-to-head. The Standard Group brings you the UEFA Euro 2020 tournament live across our channel.
Oh, what a wonderful goal!
As the official UEFA Euro 2020 free-to-air broadcast partner in Kenya, because we live for the game. And that's why at Standard Group, sports lives here.
"24/7 around the world, non-stop. This is Spice FM.
For many of us, home is a place where we find our inner peace. A place where we find the most comfort. A place where we recharge. A place where we create laughter and all the good memories. But most importantly, a place where we all belong. At KTN Home, we believe there is something for everyone. So catch all the comedy, telenovelas, Nollywood, music, sporting action, kids shows, documentaries, movies, dramas and reality shows. All to make you and your family feel right at home. You can also stream live at www.standardmedia.co.ke/KTN Home/live on your favorite device. KTN, welcome home.
The weather with Spice
All right,
FM.
so still looking at partly cloudy conditions in Nairobi this morning at 19 degrees. We'll see highs of 24 and lows of 16 today. It's 18 degrees and cloudy in Nyeri, highs of 23 and lows of 16. 16 the low in Nakuru, it's cloudy at 17. 21 will be the high in Eldoret today. It's mostly cloudy at 17 and 21 in Kisumu. Cloudy conditions, highs of 26 and lows of 20. Mostly cloudy in Kakamega at 21, highs of 25, highs of 30 in Mombasa. It's mostly cloudy at 27. 27 is also what it is in Malindi. It's mostly cloudy, going to highs of 30. 21 and light rain in Kampala, highs of 25 and lows of 18. It's mostly cloudy in Dar es Salaam this morning at 24, highs of 27 and lows of 22. 12 degrees in Johannesburg and sunny, highs of 19 and lows of 10. Partly cloudy conditions in Lagos at 25, highs of 31 and lows of 25. And partly sunny in Kinshasa at 24, highs of 31 and lows of 23.
SpiceFM. Traffic.
Outer Ring is where it is this morning, jam-packed. Looking at also coming to and from Donholm today, going towards the city, it's also quite the traffic situation. Also looking at Mombasa, Jogo Road, where you see some traffic as well, all the way from Hamza, moving very slowly towards the roundabout at the city stadium. So we're going to keep an eye on that one in terms of what's happening there. Coming off of Thika Road, not too painful right now. In and outbound, a little bit of traffic, but it's moving, so we're not at a standstill for anything concerning that. All right, Westlands heading outbound, it's picking up quite some. Let's look out towards Limuru, out then towards Naivasha, and traffic does pick up. Between Naivasha and Nakuru town, we're seeing heavy traffic this morning, but nothing unbearable. All right, we'll look at what the weekend holds and see what that does. Not to forget, curfew is still 10 to 4, and a lot of people are asking questions about that in terms of how they can plan their trips. Do that with that in mind. SpiceFM KE talked to us this morning, getting some traffic. Text us as well on 40127.
Spice up your life. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself.
28 minutes to 9 o'clock. The conversation continues. 0719-0126. So the Ministry of Lands has issued a notice and said, well, we are going to go ahead and reclaim all public land, all grabbed public land. The question we are asking this morning is, do you think this new attempt by the Lands Ministry to reclaim grabbed public land will actually bear fruit this time? What will it take to see grabbed public land revert to the public? We have talked about very many things. There's the political connections. I mean, who grabbed the land? Mm-hmm. No ordinary person would just go and know that this land has been earmarked for a market or for a school and start grabbing it. There's a local chief, there's a DO, there's everybody. All the eyes are open and they can see, we know this is a school. Chief will not allow you. DO will not allow you. So by the time somebody is actually building some commercial facility or subdividing a piece of land that is earmarked for a market and going ahead to do it and living with it, that person has some serious political connections.
You are very right. I remember when I was still a teacher at a school in Mombasa called Star of the Sea. The playground was away from the school. Mm-hmm. It was opposite the Aga Khan Hospital in Mombasa. Ringed off nicely. So I think somebody, and in the evening, the people who lived around there the young men would play football in it and so forth. Even I played football in that field when I was younger. The point is, somebody decided to grab it. The headmistress then, a forward-thinking, someone who actually understands how to put pressure on such people, the late Rose Wasuna, who was the headmistress, decided to organize the girls and the teachers. And went, media came, and they protested. The land was never touched. It stayed. Until now, with the years that went by, the school could actually have the title in its name. But Loreto Convent Primary School, within that same area of the place called Kizingo, didn't fare so well. It had a much larger compound, and it headed towards the ferry. That it had some acreage hived off by some politicians, and they built flats literally next to the school. I'm giving an example of something that I witnessed at a time when I was a teacher. But it is something that has happened over and over and over again. Not that that land cannot be diverted for something else, but in many cases, the procedure that brought about that change of user, it's school land. It's a playfield. So how do you change it for commercial purposes and build flats?
You must have some serious connections. Let's go to the phone lines. Karanja in Naivasha, good morning.
Good morning, Eric, again.
Yes.
Yes. I love your most intelligent program there. You know, I like how the way you go around, the way you do things. I love it. It's incredible.
Asante sana.
Now, the illegal acquired land or the land grabbers. If you want to know what happens to JM Karaoke, touch the issue of land. If you want to know what happened to Go Karoba, touch the issue of land. What happened to wetland areas? Where do the Dongo report went? is under the carpet. The Krieger report is under the carpet. The TJRC report is under the carpet. So, who will tell us the issue of land? Yes, my friend, because we had the wetland areas, the perennial areas. So, where do this land? Who acquired this land? Surely, look at the four figures, the four people who had been in government. What had happened to them? Look at the area that they own as the land. Who owns from Vika to where you know? So that is the issue of land. And do you know where JM Karaoke went? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. You will see a bird of Ngade. Daniel in Matasia, good morning.
Morning.
How are you doing?
Very fine.
So, Daniel, do you think this time this one will bear fruit? Please lower the volume of your radio.
Oh, just give me a minute. Morning to you.
Good morning.
I'm very fine.
All right, Daniel. So, what do you think? Will it bear fruit this time?
I really like your conversations and the topics you share. But I tend to think at the center of all these problems is how we get our leaders into political positions. I think they spend so much money to get into office that half the time when they're in power, they are trying to get back the money they spent, and towards the end of their term, they're looking for more money to get them back. So technically, they are not there to oversight on our resources. However much they would want, it is not possible. Okay? So until we address financing elections, we'll always be going round and round and round circles. Okay? Because there's no way someone could have spent more than 10 times he's supposed to earn, okay, properly on the job as a legislator. Okay? And then you're expecting to focus, okay, on taking care of resources.
On the job.
Because the person has actually come in with so much debt, he's so indebted, not just to what he has spent as an individual,
but
he's been sponsored by even maybe the party leaders.
Yeah.
So basically, the person cannot work. Okay? So until we address this issue of election financing, okay, there's very little we'll do. Because there's no time. Okay? People are actually self-employed because they've spent their money to get there. How do you expect them to take care of your interests? Okay? And they spend their money to get those jobs. Okay? So until we address that issue of election finance, I think we'll do very little.
Thank you, Daniel. Thank you. That's an interesting perspective.
It is.
Talking about political goodwill, how will you get political goodwill when your hands are tied? The people that came to sponsor your campaign, the people who helped finance your campaign, once you get into office and you start talking about we are going to reclaim, then you realize they're the ones who hold that
people
land.
Who helped you are actually the ones who hold the land. That's what I was telling you. Unless, of course, you actually really are willing, and unless you have, some huge goodwill on your shoulders, on your back, unless you're actually really, really ready to take that responsibility, it is deep and murky waters you'll be swimming in. And otherwise, just do, I don't even know how I'm an advocate, but just do the bare minimum. Don't try and wade out into the deep water because you'll be swallowed up by those fish there. Look, if you
don't do that, then they continue grabbing.
Yeah, that's what I'm not saying it is impossible. I am saying unless you are ready, in the position whereby it is then required of you to do this, unless you're absolutely ready, taking into consideration everything that would be required for you to do it. Whether it means being in good books with those who can help you do something about it, whether it means not caring if you lose your job or your life, let's just be honest, your job or your life, ready to start the fight, whatever it is going to take. If you've not taken all those things into consideration, you'd rather not say it.
Look, let's not take this discussion to the academic field. Let's not take it too far. Urupak. we all know where it is, isn't it? If it wasn't for Wangari Maathai's efforts, and man, those efforts there was something else.
Exactly, but there's
it had gone.
But this is what I'm saying. There is an example. Was there a day in her existence that she was not brandished as a rebel? Is there a day where she even had to take on physical harm? Her life was threatened not once, not 100 times.
But at the same time...
But did it reap? You're talking about it now. What did it reap? In her own way, she said...
and Karura,
yes. She said that she was not going to take this lying down. Many times did she say, even if she's the only one who is going to be fighting and saying, we have to do things the right way. Now, unless you are ready to make such sacrifice where danger can come upon you psychologically and physically...
Even Jivanji Gardens was under threat at some point. But let me ask, you see, the reason why I brought in Uhuru Park, Serena Hotel is in Uhuru Park, just so that you understand. A process must have been followed, exemptions made for that hotel to be built, because it is in Uhuru Park. It's not outside Uhuru Park. It is within Uhuru Park. So it means if I am to... Here I'm extending absolute goodwill and amnesty and every lovely thing.
So you can actually regularize it.
Yes, meaning there are processes that somebody can follow. Okay?
Let's hear from James, who's calling in from Laikipia. James, good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
How are you today, James?
Iko vile venye madam anasema. Kuna hizi multi waters. Unajua, it's better to talk the truth and tell the people actually what is really happening. Kwa sababu ukiangalia, when we go back to history, the issue of land is very sensitive sana. Kwa sababu as in, if you look at before the colonization, yani before wazungu ingia hapa Kenya, kitambo kuna, unajua, Narok, Nairobi, Kajiado, Kisumu, no, Laikipia. Most of these land were owned by the master community. But there is this history that is usually hidden, inafikiwa watu ambao hawasielewe. Kwa sababu wakati mzungu alikuja hapa, kuna hii ugonjwa ilikuwa inaitwa syphilis. I know you know about the experiment walifanya Tange experiment in America. And it was done here in Africa, especially Kenya. Na tena ukiangalia wakati walikuja wakaingia Kenya, people were displaced by the colonizers. Wakati wakakuwa displaced, sasa unaona, sasa hiyo story, we have to go deep into history, people, especially the now generation, so that they can understand the issues of land, na itatusaidia kutaka hii maneno hizi hii mashida ya mashamba hii.
So basically, James, what you're saying is, for us to deal with this, we need to go back all the way. Back in history.
The way back kabisa, huko nyuma kabisa, na ndio tutasaidika sisi.
Okay. Asante sana. Thank you, James.
Karibu.
Brian in Nairobi, good morning.
Good morning, guys.
Morning.
Morning to you.
I think I agree with what James is saying. Yesterday, I was from a funeral of my great-grandmother, and when I read the eulogy, I saw how they were moved by the colonial government. From Odaya to Nandi Hills, back to Moranga, back to Wasingishu. So land were taken by the colonialists. But when they left the land in trust to our leaders. But our leaders did not bother to repatriate back the land to their owners. And that's why, if you can check, the largest landowners in Kenya have been politicians and former presidents. It's not even a joke. Number two, it is on the issue of who will bail the cat. Because as City has said, Serena belonged to Uhuru Park. We have former President Boy resident at Cabernet Gardens. It is a well-known fact. It was an official resident of a vice president. He still owns it. We have the residence of our current president next to State House. I believe that land belonged to State House also.
It actually belonged to the Aga Khan. Let me just say that particular bit was the Aga Khan.
I'm telling you, if you listen to what the previous caller said, just follow the history of how Aga Khan got that land. Follow the history. It belongs somewhere else. In fact, all land belonged to the government. It is them who are located. But it seems they regularize for the powerful, and then they go demolish for the lowly citizens. So it will take the person who will hold the bulls by the horn, of which I don't know who, because the mighty and the powerful are the one owning big chunk of land illegally acquired.
So basically what you're saying is when you hear the government saying we are coming for grabbed public land, just know it's the mwananchi wa kawaida who will be kicked out.
Yes, they will come to those land area by the roadside. Of course, they won't be touched. In fact, they keep on expanding. Yes.
Thank you, Brian.
We've seen the issue of SGR and the compensation. Just follow it up. You see how they continue getting rich and the powerful.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Brian.
Right.
0719-012-600. What would it take for us to actually get to that point of reclaiming grabbed public land? And there's a point that you were raising there when you talked about Wangari Maathai, Professor Wangari Maathai. She led other active citizens, such as herself, to block the grabbing of that land. And we see it in very many communities where somebody is trying to grab a market, a school playground, people come out and they oppose it. There are other places where, it's large, vast tracts of land. It's owned by a government department like the ADC. You're talking about ADC and the chairman of ADC in Parliament.
Yes.
Vast public land is owned by the Agriculture Development Corporation. It's thousands of acres. Somebody with some connection goes and grabs a piece of it. Now, community is not affected. So community will not rise up in arms to come and raise an issue. And that's where now you see, when Kenya Airports Authority land was being subdivided by whichever those organizations were, community was not being displaced. And that's why now community will not be active because they are not feeling the pinch. That's why now to strike that balance. When we saw what was happening at Langata Road Primary School, community nearby noticed, and that's why they came out. Now, in other areas, you don't get that.
But you see, even as we talk about, for instance, the land that is government owned, and you've mentioned a good point. You see, if you were to look at that Langata Road, the focus has been Western Hotel, that is associated with the Deputy President. But along that road, you have Sunshine Secondary School, you have Amref University, okay? So, this land, did it belong to the Airports Authority at some point? Usually, when you build an airport, there are many things you take into consideration, okay? Planes landing, planes taking off, etc., etc., etc.
Expansion of the
Exactly. Planners know these things, and they don't plan for 10, 20 years. They even plan up to 100 years. They look that far ahead. So, if you were to nitpick and look at every little thing that has happened there, you would find, for instance, that Sunshine is built in former government land. It has served people well. It is a school. That primary school, yes, it has. The university. So, if then someone builds a hotel, so what is the issue here? What I'm trying to say is, are we talking about procedure being followed? Because it is clear, and I gave the example earlier on of forest land. You're talking about Met Station, moving onwards to Lanana School, moving forward, and then moving into Langata, the huge Langata area, forest.
Procedure, you see, there's regularizing, and then there's procedure being followed from the beginning. Procedure being followed from the beginning is why you say this is public land.
Yeah.
We are going to excise it, and
For
we're
this
going
purpose.
to
For this purpose.
For this purpose. Regularizing is where it has been grabbed and sold and sold and sold and sold, and now you're coming to say, okay, now let's walk backwards.
Government also preserves the right to say that, through decisions, again, through procedure, to say that exactly excise, it'll be for the purposes of this public institution, or you can decide that they will actually start to sell it off to members of the public, should they wish. But through that, there is a procedure that must be followed. Now, unfortunately, most cases, when you come and say this, that we are going to take it back, you're going to start looking for which procedure exactly that took place when land was being grabbed. There was no procedure that was followed.
Let's go to the phone line. I've got 3 callers on the line.
Please,
let's hear them. Thomas in Kericho, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Very
Fine,
well,
thank you.
Yes, land issue in our country has been a very big issue. Yes, we've formed commissions to, like the TRG report. We've got those all these reports that have been there. But again, you see, in our country, they never take these reports and work on them. You see, they're still under carpet.
Mm-hmm.
In this country, our leaders are the custodians of our land. The previous caller said that even if they go for demolitions, you'll never see leaders being touched. Because they're very powerful. I was listening to the madam there saying that in our country, if you want to stand by our land, then you must sacrifice your life. That is one. Or your job. So in our country, these things, land issue has been a very big issue that we cannot go check the acreages of people, of land that are owned by former presidents, or the very powerful people, vice presidents, up to now. They're the people who are owning a lot of land. And this issue, I'm not seeing it being solved.
Okay. Thank you, Thomas. Let's hear from Stephen in Nairobi. Good morning.
Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Good. Just a quick one. I had CT mention about the land opposite Wilson. If I remember well, there is land, or rather there is a prison.
Yep.
Opposite Wilson.
Yes.
Yes, there is.
That land all belonged to prisons. It would start from where there is this children's home. Right,
Banados.
Thomas. Correct. And it went all the way up past where Amref is, where the school is. You keep going past Sunshine. You keep going past where there was Langata Shopping Center. I think now there's a popular spot called 18 something. And it keeps going straight up until right after where there's a monument, opposite the monument. That's where they're building a museum.
Opposite the park.
Correct. All that land belonged to Kenya prisons. All right? Now, who owns that Sunshine School? All right? And it was there. We knew who owned it. Or rather, the family that owns it now. Now, if you look at the shopping center that was there, when it first began, there was a hula baloo. Yeah? That hula baloo, we also knew that land was hived to who. All that land that was for prisons was taken away by politicians and was also hived by some of the prison leaders that were there at that time.
So, Stephen.
So this issue of land...
How can we get such pieces of land
back?
Either regularized if they're serving public good, or back to serve public good?
It's very simple, and I agree with what Ndu had said. It's if whoever comes into power really wants to sort out something, has to go back to the original owners of the land, close their eyes, bring down whatever needs to be brought down, and given back to the original owners of that land. But you and I know it will never happen. Because it is the same situation why the Southern Bypass had to go through the national park. That is another story of land as well.
It is, but that road didn't need to go through the national park. That is exactly the other truth. The route or the SGR, they could have taken other routes, but again, your point is actually well made.
Well made. 5 minutes to 9 o'clock. Thank you very much to our audience on KTN Home. You've been with us from 8 a.m. Join us again next week from Monday, 8 to 9. But the conversation continues on SpiceFM. Nairobi 94.4, Malindi 97.7, Mombasa it's 87.9, 102.5 Kisumu, 96.0 in Nakuru, 96.7 Eldoret, 90.9 in Nyeri. This conversation continues. Good morning.
This is The Situation Room the only way to start your day. Spice up your life.
Sugar and spice and everything nice, just the way you like it.
The Spice Drive.
Did you have a great day? I hope you did. I intend to make it better from 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. I'm going to be taking you home nice and chill. Everyone is welcome aboard. The hashtag is Spice Drive and, of course, SpiceFM KE on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
The Spice Drive with Monique. The official soundtrack of getting you where you need to be. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
9 o'clock. It continues. Before we took the callers, you were making a point.
Well, I was going to say that this issue of land, it traverses, just look at our everyday lives and what something of this sort will actually bring to bear on it. But look at other departments. Let's look at tourism, for instance, all right? One of the things that came to the fore is how it is a certain indiscriminate manner in which what we, I think, refer to as game lodges and so forth are built, smack in the middle of a migratory route of animals. What that means, what it does, okay? Building a road. Conservationists and people who are very key on ensuring that the balance between animal and human life is well balanced have fought a battle that they've lost in Tanzania over Serengeti. There's a Serengeti Roads project, and it's going to pass through. And very simply, it is a shortcut, okay? It makes traveling from one place to the other. People have used arguments, it'll make it easier for poachers, so it'll do. You see, at some point, you bring this thing to a bigger debate depending on what you're talking about and what sort of land you're talking about. The debate is, which is more important? And can a balance be found? Because if it's government land, it's there for a purpose. But with time, that purpose may have outlived its time. It's just a fact. And you may need to divert it and think of something else. And how about, by the time you have giraffes walking on Mombasa Road, what that probably tells you is that land that giraffe was accustomed, they knew this ancestral land. That land ceased to be ancestral land.
Oh, no, they're still walking in their land as far as they're concerned.
Precisely.
Yeah.
When we did the demarcation, we didn't inform them. The public participation wasn't sufficiently carried out, okay? Public participation with animals is called fencing. So, they will do what they've always done. But let's take this argument even further. What about those large tracts of land that are called conservancies? What about those large tracts of land that are actually referred to as ranches? See, there has to be, Eric used a good word, of rationalization of these things so that the needs and the interests of that are germane to the times in which you live in are taken into consideration, but it's something that must be carried out carefully.
But we must also balance the good.
Yes.
Okay, so if, for example, you find that people have moved into Karura Forest and built homes there, you can come and argue that, look, this is human habitation, so it's really affecting people who live here. On the other hand, what have we lost? Ecologically, you've lost a forest. So you cannot just come and say, let's regularize because these people already live here. And okay, just say, it's okay, you continue living here. We can't really move you.
I use the word rationalize. Why you rationalize? And I attributed it to you, which is a good thing. I am saying that it may also mean get out.
Yes.
Okay? We've weighed this thing.
The bigger good here
is you move. Because you are limiting the public good that this thing was purposed for.
Yeah. Yes. The conversations continue into the next hour. Thank you very much for tuning in. This is Kenya's biggest conversation. It is the Situation Room. And we love it when you call us 0719-012-600 or SpiceFM KE, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, sharing your comments there. Good morning. It's now 9 a.m.
Spice up your life. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Still behaving more or less very well this morning, not too crazy. Some traffic around Outer Ring, that's where that issue really was this morning, and still moving slowly in that area, but not too bad. Coming off Thika Road into the city centre, outbound as well. We saw some traffic outbound as well, going in the Limuru, Naivasha direction and then into Nakuru town, but not too big. Now, what has happened now is that the jam on Mombasa Road is another thing. Headed out into the city, moving very slowly this morning. Expected as you get to the southern bypass, it'll stave off a little bit. But if you stick on Mombasa Road going out towards Nyayo Stadium, it's very slow right around now. This one you have to sit it out if you're already there. Otherwise, use the bypasses. And if you haven't, this one you just have to wait it through, okay? Let's look at how it develops into the morning. You can talk to us on SpiceFM KE on Twitter. Let's look about half an hour and see how this might have changed. Text as well on 40127.
This is the Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Oko, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latif, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
2 minutes after 9, Kenya's biggest conversation continues. Okay, CT, as we begin this hour, today's proverb.
Peace does not make a good ruler.
Peace does not make a good ruler.
No, it doesn't.
My peace I give unto you, not as the world giveth. Okay. You said it's from Malawi?
Botswana. The general, you got the general direction right. It's in that
3
direction.
syllables.
Yes.
I was just looking for that. 3 syllables. So, as we continue the conversation about what's happening in our country, this conversation, of course, about land and reclamation of grabbed public land for greater public good and what works well for greater public good. Let's also look at this other thing that is very big and it's for great public good. And this is the constitutional moment that we've been told we are in, where we are moving closer and closer towards a referendum to be held at some point on the Constitution of Kenya Amendment Bill 2020, which seeks to amend some things like, 78 amendments to the Constitution of Kenya 2010. The matter was discussed in Parliament. The National Assembly voted yes yesterday by a majority, not unanimously. The Senate is going to be making their decision next week. Then the results of these are taken to the President. The President hands over the matter to the IEBC, which then conducts a referendum. Now, the issue is not that. The process is clear. The issue is on the back and forth that we've seen in Parliament. And even yesterday as they were voting, and what's been covered here today, Uhuru and Raila clipped the BBI attack. So it appears like there was an onslaught against the BBI. And there were people who were raising issues in Parliament on the contents of this particular Constitution of Kenya Amendment Bill. Some of those issues being raised were, it's okay for the Constitution of Kenya Amendment Bill to propose creation of 70 constituencies. Okay? But the job of actually saying where those constituencies are going to be should be left to the body that's created by the same constitution to say where the constituencies are going to be. The issue of saying where exactly those constituencies are going to be, that is usurping the role that you've given to the IEBC in that same constitution. There was the other issue of, ombudsman, the role of the National Police Service Commission and the powers of the National Police Service Commission. Many other issues that have been brought in. And then there are those that are saying this Constitution Amendment Bill brings in very good things. Number one, it addresses this challenge that we have on gender balance, because it comes in and says, this is the formula that we're going to use to attain the gender balance in the National Assembly, and this is how we're going to make sure that we have gender balance in the Senate. In the Senate, you're going to have 2 senators per county, 94 senators, 47 men, 47 women, gender balance there, 50-50. Clear. Then there are those who argue this is basically just removing the woman rep position from National Assembly and taking them to the Senate and denying them a fund called the Affirmative Action Fund. Back and forth. Now, as we saw yesterday, members of Parliament, when in their arguments for or against the Constitution of Kenya Amendment Bill, were saying a number of things. We have seen what Aden Duale was saying. Let somebody come and show me how this bill will end electoral violence. I want someone to tell me if this bill contains electoral reforms. Where are they? Where? Show me. Wapi. Gladys Wanga says, I support this bill unreservedly. Nations develop by constantly reviewing their systems. Mahoka Maore says, if you listen to those who are opposing this bill, just listen to them. What they are claiming is that they've been sidelined. They were not involved, or the gains that have been made here do not include them. So that's their main beef. My son Leshomo, the Samburu woman rep, was a member of the task force, the BBI task force. She says, we went around the country. These were not our views. These are the views of the Kenyans. Johanna Ngeno, the MP for Emurua Dikir, says, this will be the most divisive document that you'll ever see. And so on and so forth. The statement that I associate with, and I've said this before, was made yesterday by Kimani Ichung'wah, the Kikuyu MP. He says, this document is a poisoned chalice, anchored on treachery, loaded with deception. I say I associate myself with this because I've said it before. There are some good things that are contained in the proposed constitutional amendments. And then there are some things that are contained in the proposed constitutional amendment that I do not see their value. And those small good things are the ones that are being hyped. And the bigger things that are not necessarily bringing value to the people are the poison, in my opinion. And the journey towards all these things is the poison. Anyway, that is my view. Now, we're where we are. It's going to a referendum. The question is, did it matter what the MPs were saying yesterday? Will it matter what the senators will have said by the time they vote?
With the forward movement of this particular bill to the point where we can actually have a referendum, no. But can it influence the thinking of people as they go to a referendum? The answer is yes. But this is not a new... The main arguments that are being presented for the BBI are not arguments that are new. Even more vociferous arguments were presented with the Constitution. And there were people who were against it from day one. And they didn't want it. And they spoke and they said and they said. Some of them are also now opposing this same BBI. So you almost want to say that there are people who seem to want to make a career out of opposing things that come into being. But that is their fundamental right in the country. It's a right that they have.
They might even see it as
it's
a
right
role.
that this very constitution that they're opposing gives them, this right. So, in my view, it is good that a discussion such as this one, divisive as it may sound, actually takes place because it enables people to look at these issues through these views that are expressed. The views aren't the issue. The sincerity of those expressing them sometimes, in my mind, is what is in doubt. Because if I look at someone's track record and I look at the things that they say and the stands that they purportedly have made, then I have to pause and ask myself the question, what exactly am I hearing here? Because humanly speaking, you are not going to get a document that everyone agrees with. It will never, ever, ever happen.
But the fact that the document was not going, it's like all of this that was being done as pertains to the process, that going to Parliament, whether you would debate or pass, really didn't matter. So I thought about it over the last couple of days and I thought, really, yes, then that could be it. That all of the suggestions that we are seeing, the friction that you would look at this and say is what is happening here, is because they already know that within Parliament there's very little that can be done, but that there's still a decision to be made. and that they're using this platform now to speak to Kenyans. That either you accept or reject this based on this. That we are saying you could actually use this as an avenue to accept it because you do feel that everything within it is right. And it is upon that premise that those who argue for it will use it. On the same platform, those who don't want it now realize that, okay, it's not going to change in Parliament, but where it could change and where the decision could be made, then is at the referendum. So we're actually using this platform to speak to Kenyans to say, reject it on this basis. That there's so many things that we are within it right now that need to be changed, rejected on this basis. And those who are saying yes, that there is now this opportunity. It has passed, it's going to go through Parliament, and even further now, there is an opportunity for you to rubber stamp it. And now they are speaking directly to those who have the final say, which is Kenyans when they go to referendum.
See, my problem, as I'm stating it, is that there's a rather tainted image of a member of Parliament that I have in my head, where anytime I hear a member of Parliament arguing, in my mind they're not arguing, they're negotiating. And I ask myself, what do they want? The opposition, the volume with which it's being presented, I hear the words, but the thing that rings in my mind is, okay, what are they negotiating for? What is it that they want to see done? And so they've taken this position because that position clearly gives you a limelight and you'll be noticed. So, okay, when they've been noticed, in what manner do they want to be spoken to? Okay.
How do they want to be reached out to?
Yes, because remember, give this thing perspective. All these people we speak of got voted in through one party or the other, and they've had an affiliation for the longest time with one side, either in the opposition or in government. But in this country now, we have more than one opposition platform. We have the opposition who have shaken hands. We have the opposition who are unshaking hands. So it's an interesting mix in our political scenario. So when you hear words being spoken, where do you actually place them? How exactly can you actually place them? Because when it was clear, government, opposition, you could say, I think I know what's happening here. Again, but the negotiation element really never, ever, ever goes away. It doesn't. Just like someone is in leadership and they've been in a position where they could have made a difference, they didn't. Now they're not in that position and they're speaking about that same position they had as though a difference can be made. And yet you ask them, but you were there. Why didn't you make the difference that you're talking about? So it is a trend and it is a tradition that we seem to have. Remember, this is something you will hear me say over and over. We have a political leadership and a government leadership that thinks that the way you deal with issues is you talk at them.
Yes.
You look forward and say, and you speak forcefully. And you are dramatic about it. If you're able to throw a phone every once in a while in a certain direction, just make sure it doesn't get damaged. But you dramatize the situation. And then as far as you're concerned, done. Or you're in Parliament and you speak loudly and you thump the desk in front of you. And you gesture wildly and you lift your hands in all sorts of directions. Okay? You even move. Now with the mask, you remove your mask and take it back on. Then you keep quiet. In your mind, done. So, with this issue of the BBI, I have to ask the question, what are these people negotiating for? Not are they trying to speak to Kenyans? They are.
So they don't have a stand?
They understand perfectly what they're doing.
No, they don't have a stand.
Stand? They do. It's themselves. They've always had a stand.
On the issue?
Oh!
Do they have an actual stand on the issue?
Yes, they do. The stand is that this is an opportunity. That's the stand. It's a beautiful opportunity. Now let's milk it for what it's worth. There's some people who sincerely want to see this thing work. Good. We now have an audience and we have a captive audience at that. So let's see how best we can play this thing.
Let's play it.
Yes.
Let's take a break and look at the weather and how the weather is going to look like for the rest of the day in Nairobi, in other parts of the country, in other parts of Africa, and other parts of the world. And as we do that, the Cabinet Secretary for Interior and Coordination of National Government, Dr. Fred Matiang'i, has issued a Gazette notice which says that next week, Friday, the 14th of May, 2021, shall be a public holiday to mark Eid al-Fitr. Okay, next week, Friday. So you see now, next week, Wednesday will be a Friday. That's it. Let's take a look at the weather.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. Spice up your life. 24/7 around the world, non-stop. This is Spice FM.
Hello.
Halo, umesikia?
Nimesikia nini?
Hujasikia habari? Hebu acha nikuambie. Kile kimetokea.
Hello? Hello? Hello?
Don't wait for hearsay. Dial star 550 star 2 hash to read the Nairobian e-paper from the convenience of your mobile phone for only 20 shillings from your telecom line and stay up to date. The hottest talk of town with no additional charges.
Classic soul, R&B, smooth jazz, neo soul, and nostalgic ballads.
Make some noise. Yeah.
You're listening to Spice FM.
Have you seen them? Am I lying?
Yes, it's a very nice outfit, I must say. Good
Thank
job.
you. Asante sana.
The compliment is well received.
Good morning and thank you. Evan Wasingishi was asking me what channel is Spice FM.
96.7. Tell them that, right?
Yes, now they know.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Pleasure to have
what
you.
What a beautiful studio, my friend.
I've been to other radio stations, but I've never seen anything like this.
Thank you. And it's very nice to be in a modern studio. Absolutely brilliant.
And I have to say, it's a very cool ambiance here in your radio room. Just for our listeners, I think it is below zero in this room here.
All right, 20 degrees, cloudy conditions in some parts of Nairobi. 24 the high and lows of 16 today. It's cloudy in Nyeri at 18, highs of 23 and lows of 16. 16 will also be the low in Nakuru, where it's cloudy at 19. Partly sunny conditions in Eldoret at 17, highs of 21. 26 will be the high in Kisumu, where it's mostly cloudy at 23. It's raining lightly in Kakamega, 23 degrees, highs of 25 and lows of 17. Light rain also in Mombasa at 28, highs of 30 and lows of 24. 30 will be the high in Malindi. It's lightly raining at 28. It'll come down to lows of 26. It's 21 degrees and raining in Kampala as well, highs of 25 and lows of 18. Mostly cloudy conditions in Dar es Salaam now at 26, highs of 27. 19 will be the high in Johannesburg, where it has warmed up to 14 and sunny. Partly sunny conditions in Lagos now at 25. That'll be the low for today, highs of 31. Exactly the same in Kinshasa, highs of 31 and partly sunny conditions at 23. Looking out into Beijing into late afternoon, 26 degrees, highs of 27, 6 degrees and sunny in Paris, highs of 15 and lows of 9, sunny conditions in London at 17, highs of 14 and lows of 6, and it's clear in New York now, ringing in Friday morning at 13. It'll be a warm day by New York standards, 17 the high and lows of 10.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4
So coming up to 20
Spice
after 9,
FM,
and
Nairobi.
what we're asking ourselves is, are these politicians sincere in the stance they take on the BBI? So we saw, for example, some members of parliament who had said no publicly, and they're saying no to the Constitution of Kenya Amendment Bill, and then when it came to vote, they voted yes. Bahati MP Kimani Ngunjiri, a fierce critic of the BBI process and a key ally of the DP, surprised colleagues when he backed the bill. A number of Mount Kenya MPs, also aligned to Ruto, who had opposed the bill, voted in support. We have seen also those who have spoken out and signed even the report from the Joint Parliamentary Committee that was looking at this particular report. MP like Rarieda MP Otiende Amolo, he raised some issues and saying, there are some things here that may be problematic when it comes to this particular bill. He voted yes. His vote was yes. We have seen Senator James Orengo. He's yet to vote because the Senate has not voted. But even yesterday he was saying, even as you get to the point of voting, I'd like to remind all of you legislators, I have been a parliamentarian for very many years. One thing that is very clear in my mind is that I will not be cowed, I will not be influenced by external forces. I have seen presidents come and go. I have seen other senior members come into this parliament and go. And when my time comes, I will go. But my conscience needs to be very clear on the stand that I take on this particular matter and on any matter before this August.
So you would then be surprised if you would go and vote yes when they do vote.
No.
Maybe he's saying his stand is unconscious. It's very clear he's
going to vote yes. Yes, I mean, come on. Look, may I, as he's reminding his colleagues, may I also remind you and our listeners that we're talking about politicians. And we're talking about Kenyan politicians.
You see, CT, you say that often. I think you're also speaking from... There are some people who don't think that way. I'm telling you. There are people who follow every word as though they were crumbs of food falling from their mouths. They say something and they follow... Which direction is the wind blowing today? That's the way we go. So that's why I was going to say that there's some people then who would be held captive by their words. There's some people who say... Like you say, you have said this all along, so somebody is following you saying, okay, my person who represents me, this is their position, we are going. Don't you think that same person who was listening to this politician speak in this manner and then goes to hear that they voted in the opposite direction and wakes up this morning and is feeling a little bit confused? Okay, hold on a minute. I thought this is the direction that we are going. And then you say something else. So what does that mean? That we were actually going the other way all at the same time? You would be surprised at the number of people who follow their representatives to the letter. They say this, and that is the way in which they go. I know you're saying they're politicians, so they're fickle in their action. They're fickle in their behavior. But there are people, even with that fickleness, who follow them.
You know, the yardstick with which we judge a group of people is by the activities that are prevalent, the things that you see most often. The exceptions never quite form the rule. This is really the point I'm trying to make here. Indeed, I know of politicians who actually do what they say they're going to do and what they mean. I know, not I've heard of, I know them, and I know them personally. But the vast majority
don't.
Look, why do you think...
They are like flags.
No, we're insulting flags here.
Wow.
You see, flags have a position. They're on a pole. So even as they flutter, they're fluttering from a position. These ones.
Ed Getonga in Nyeri, good morning.
Morning, guys. How are you doing?
Fine, thanks.
City's not feeling too well, but the rest of us are fine.
Would you trust a 2-year-old? Would you trust a 2-year-old with a loaded gun?
No.
Then don't trust a Kenyan politician.
Wow.
Look, do you know why the likes of George Anyona, people like Koigi Wamwere, people like Professor Oyugi, Raila Odinga, that whole Martin Shigugu, do you know why some of those people, James Orengo, people like the first African mayor of Nairobi, Charles Rubia, Matiba, do you know why they gained so much traction? Those people paid for their stand. They had a stand, they took it, and they paid a price for it. Some a really, really steep price. But everyone saw it. So when you talk about a stand in our parliament, which stand?
Let me tell you something.
Yes, Ed.
As far as politicians, maybe someone like Orengo, as you're saying, they've been through tough times, so there's nothing more tough you can bring to them, right? But these are the culture of politicians currently, ni pale inanonea ndo anaenda.
So don't trust them at all.
Let me tell you something. Yes, let me tell you something, Bwana Eric. When parliament itavunjwa before the elections, right? There's going to be a very huge shift politically. Even those people maybe even those MPs who support a certain pact or section, maybe they do it because of the political inclinations they have right now. But when Parliament will be, what do they call it in English, dissolved or something?
Yep.
Yes, when Parliament will be dissolved,
stands will change again. Thank you, Ed.
The stand will change completely.
Thank you, Ed. Let's hear from John in Elbagon. John, good morning.
Morning, how are you guys?
Very well.
Yeah, they say the more things change, the more they remain the same. And I remember one of my teacher of literature one day he told us that in case you are put in a room and there's a snake and there's a lawyer inside, and you are given a gun and one bullet inside, use it wisely. and don't use it on the snake. And now you can imagine the same lawyer is a politician.
Mm-hmm.
The reason I'm saying that, I had the lawyers argue in the parliament. Somebody talks about a document, and he tells you the way it's so bad, and then at the end, he tells you the way he's going to vote for it. And I was asking myself, then why was he talking about it?
So what are you talking about? Yes.
Exactly. Somebody has poked holes in the document. He has told you the way it is unconstitutional, the way so many things here are not right, the way the independence of the judiciary is going to be lost, and then at the end he says, I'm still going to vote for it. And I'm asking myself, surely, where are we going? And some of these people, some people are so senior.
Yeah.
People we had a lot of respect for.
Yeah.
John, if you ask them that question, you know what you'll be told?
Yes.
These matters are not that simple.
They're not. John, thank you. Let's hear from Karaoke in Nakuru. Karaoke in Wakulima Market. Good morning.
Good morning to you.
How are you?
And I'm all right.
Karaoke, how have you been? You've been lost.
We have been having problem here and there because of some of our colleagues who have left the world as a result of, the problem that you are facing, isn't it?
Yes.
Oh, Paulie.
The problem we are facing as a result of COVID. That is the reason as well. We've been trying to. Unfortunately, I don't have enough credit. I will call again.
We'll call you back, Karaoke.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Francis Wambogo in Mombasa. Good morning.
Morning. How are you?
Good
Very
morning.
Yes. About our politicians, especially MPs, mostly when the term is just about to end, they agreed increases. So they are not fools, and they are able to read very well and comprehend things very correctly. But when we are now, the time for voting has come, and Eric, you hear, people are lobbying, and they lobby patriotically. Yeah, they are lobbied. So when time to lobby comes, lobbying displaces their thinking, and I can tell you, lobbying is about influencing. Why should I vote this? Yes. So that's the time they lose whatever they were talking about.
They lose their souls.
Of course. Yes.
Lobbying
is about telling you. Yes?
What incentive are they given at this lobby process?
Of course, there are so many incentives. And that's when even what they call the deep state comes in. And when you don't lobby, if you don't lobby, then you don't vote. Actually, the government cannot put a vote forward if they are not assured they are going to get the vote.
Yeah.
I mean, the win. Yeah. So they already know we are going to get this. So that's when they allow MPs to vote. Otherwise, it can be very, put a very bad picture to the government. So they know very well. The deep state will have lobbied enough and actually vote MPs.
And they get it to
And
pass.
that's it. Yes.
Thank you, Francis. Karaoke is back on the line. Karaoke?
Yes, please.
Yes.
I want to talk about these two guys. The Nakuru North MP, that is Kimani Ngojiri, and the current MP of Nakuru East Constituency. Let me start with the Kimani Ngojiri. After all along, is something that we have been speculating and saying. He has been linked to State House. He has been visiting State House every now and then. At least that has been right in the public domain, especially in Nakuru County. Now, we don't even fear. We knew what he is going to do even before they started voting. We knew that's what he is going to do. Because after all, I remember some time back when his son died, there was money sent to him to compensate his burial, the burial ceremony of his son. We knew where it came from. And even 3 to 4 days ago, or even a week ago, we heard he has been in State House twice. And so we knew what he is going to do because of this. You remember he has been a very tough critic of BBI, isn't it?
Yeah, and the president.
And the president. And now he is on his side. Now, point number 2 is about our man here, Gekaria. After all, this is the worst MP we have ever elected in this town. And after all, we knew where he was going to vote because after he has been quiet, he has been linked to the president and all the BBI and all anything that was said in the BBI. He has been linked to the president. And after all, he knew he's not coming back.
Kariuki, if I may ask you, why do you rate him as the worst MP you've ever elected?
Of course, it depends on what he does here in Nakuru East constituency.
Tell me, Nakuru East constituency, which is that area? Name the areas for me. I asked this because I grew up in Nakuru, so I just want to know where it is that you're talking about.
Nakuru town, go to Mtaani. You know the estate of the municipal?
Yes.
You know them?
Yes.
You go to Pipeline, go to Keratina, area, and tell me what this guy has done. Before he became an MP, the promise to the young guys in Nakuru East constituency was that he is going to give them employment. Some time back, 2 years ago, I asked him this question. He called us to visit him in his office of Nakuru East constituency, right? And when we went there, we stayed there for 2 hours. When he came back, he told us that, I have been meeting with the youth down there and I have given them 200,000 shillings. And I asked him a question. If you gave them 200,000 shillings, how much each got? He told me that everybody got 100 shillings. And I asked him a question. What was the best thing to do? Was it to give them 100 shillings or to show them somewhere where they'll be getting that 100 shillings? Sure. That's what I asked him. And he told me I was thrown out of his office because of that. My friend, point number 2, remember, passing the BBI and even coming out with a position of power that now comprise the BBI is adding the burden of taxation to Kenyans. And point number 2, the president, who is now the president of our country, remember when we were fighting for the change of the constitution, ever since 1980s, after the coup, until where we passed the current constitution 2010, the president was not even in this country. He was in the United States. So he has he doesn't know anything to do with what happened.
When we were passing this constitution, the president was in the country.
Just a minute. When we sacrificed DLA,
he was a deputy prime minister.
Fine, I agree with what you are saying. But since 1982, after the coup, until the 1990s, when multipartyism was ushered into a new constitution, this guy was in the United States. He doesn't know the sacrifice, the death, and anything those who are left maimed as a result of fighting for the multipartyism of this country. That is why he is changing the constitution, something he doesn't know where it came from. Despite the fact that it was passed when he was the deputy prime minister, he has nothing to do with. I remember only once when he talked about this when he was in the United States, 1990. He has just uttered a very few words. Let the government give Kenyans what they want. Just that, and then he forgot us. We continued fighting. If I can remind you, City, you are saying you have been in Nakuru, isn't it?
Actually, I went to St. Xavier's Primary School.
Which one?
St. Xavier's Primary School.
St. Xavier's?
Yeah, when I first got there, it was called Goan Institute, Goan Primary School, but it was then changed to be, it was Goan, then St. Xavier's.
I'm asking you a question.
Ask.
Did you meet that white woman who was there as a headmaster?
No. The headmaster I met was a Goan gentleman called Mr. Carvalho.
When was this?
I went there in the 60s, the previous century.
The reason why I'm asking this, because you know the suffering of the Nakuru residents, especially as the big wigs who are there, opposing the Kano government.
Yes, I do.
The Kamangaras and the others.
Mark Muizaga.
Forget about Mark Mudaga.
Why should I forget about him? I mean, I remember him well.
Remember him, but he never fought anything to do with the multi-party.
What's your point, Karaoke?
You got my point?
I get your point, but tell me the point you're making, Mr. Karaoke.
The point I'm making, I want you to remind you of the people who died under multi-party, especially those people who are not known in this country, the innocent Kenyan people, especially my friends that we used to go together with them. Some died crucified like Jesus. I remember by the Kano government. So somebody who is coming up with a change of the constitution doesn't know anything, any suffering that we went through as a country. He doesn't.
We hear you, Karaoke. I have two other callers on the line, Karaoke. Let's hear from them. Anthony in Kisumu and Anthony in Mombasa. Let's start with the Kisumu Anthony. Good morning.
Good morning, City, Eric, and Andu.
Good morning.
Good morning.
What we saw in Parliament, I think, is what we expected, of course. Our politicians speak from both sides of their mouth. On the pulpit, they tell you drink wine. When they are there, they drink water or whatever. But the point is, Otiende Amolo, the MP for Arieda, he came out and said there are some things we need to change. I don't know if those things were changed for him to vote yes, or he was intimidated by the SMS.
Or he has sent his message.
He sent me a message, and
he has sent a message. The message has been received. He was not necessarily speaking for himself.
Yeah,
I think to be fair, Anthony, even when he was making his point during a contribution to debate in Parliament, at the tabling of the report by his committee, he said, I have these issues, but when it comes to voting, I will vote yes. But these are the issues. This is the reason why I put my signature to this report.
Yes.
He's one of the politicians we hold in high esteem in Nyanza. I think because of his articulate nature of presenting things, his mastery of the law, and he's ever bold. We see him on television most of the mornings. But that was a law on him. If it's bad, it's bad. It can never be good because so-and-so has said it's good.
Yeah.
I'm going to Oparanya's point, the governor for Kakamega. If there's something he said, 70 constituencies, give 35 to one region, and then let the other 7 regions share the 35, averagely 5 each, if we are equal. Now, one thing in BBI, it was to bring equality. I'm looking at it 35 times 100 million for CDA fund, going to one region, and then Raila was just played. The truth be told, we've been rattling Orengo, we've been rattling Owandai, we've been rattling Tiendamolo and Atandi, and praising Badi and praising the other person on the streets of Kisumu. But let it just be known, it's not the good thing. There's no inclusivity. Economic inclusivity, these other regions are left out, one region is favored. Maybe they were doing it as a political gesture for those people to return the vote for Baba in 2022. In Kondele, we say he's going to fail again. And as Obado says, Baba has stood for so long, let's give him a chair to sit. The chair is not the presidency. The chair should be somewhere.
Thank you, Anthony.
Orengo stood firm. I don't know if Senate also they vote. I heard him say he can never be intimidated. He's seen people come and go.
They're voting next week.
We support the senator for Siaya. Let him stand firm, because at least history will judge him that at some point he was on a Damascus point and he changed. He's been a loyalist of Baba.
Actually, he hasn't. Not if you look at the history, it isn't that. He became a loyalist at some point, but that was not always the trajectory that he followed.
After the Kibaki wherever, when he ran for presidency and then he was miserably defeated.
Actually, he was obliterated. That wasn't even a defeat.
Yes, he was obliterated, and then he saw some light, and then he's seen some darkness, and then he's seen some light again.
So he's back to the light.
We support Tiendamolo, we support Atandi. If it is bad, just say it's bad. Don't fear that we won't vote you. I vote in Kisumu Central. If I could take a vote somewhere to Siaya, I'll vote Orengo for governor, wherever post he's going for.
Okay.
Because he stands for what is true.
For something.
That's what we lack in most of our leaders we elect.
Anthony, thank you. Thank you, Anthony. Let's now hear from the other Anthony who's been on the line in Mombasa. Morning, Anthony.
Morning, Station Room.
Good morning.
How is Nairobi?
Nairobi is cold-ish.
Mombasa is a bit sunny. And before I comment, I'd like to give a heads up on people using Mombasa A109 towards Mazeras. A place called Bonje. There are some tires burning there.
What's happening?
What are they complaining about? The tires always suffer when people are complaining about something.
Some guys who live around that area, their houses were demolished.
Oh dear. Were the houses near the road?
No, so I think somebody claims they are sitting on their land. So in the morning they woke up to a road shock. And they are burning tires on the road now. The road is blocked.
Okay.
So they can get an alternative route.
Okay.
Yes, coming to the situation today. First, I want to congratulate my MP, Mr. GK, and the women rep for Kirinyaga for starting farm.
Who is GK?
And they voted no. He's called GK Kariuki.
Ah, I see.
Our MP for Deer.
Okay.
And
Standing farm is voting no.
Yes. Because what I've always asked is, especially to those who are for BBI, show me how overrepresentation helps me. Because currently, the guys who are here, who we've elected, they are not working. It's not that they are overworked. They are not working. So if they are not working, I think we should even reduce them, not adding them. At what cost is it coming? Yes, they say BBI is good because BBI is like a poisoned carrot daggled in front of Kenyans. And especially for the Mount Kenya people, they've been, Uhuru has dangled this carrot of more constituencies and everything, more money coming, yes, for the Mount Kenya. And I asked them, at what cost? Look our taxation. There's the much money we are paying for tax. There's a bill coming up in Parliament very soon, increasing pay as you want, increasing income tax. Where are we going? Who will fund all these people? All these offices, who will fund them?
The taxpayers, of course. We'll have another conversation on the details of the BBI. Thank you very much, Anthony. Thank you for your contribution. Joseph in Nairobi, good morning.
Good morning to you guys.
Good morning.
Personally, I'm okay with this one. From this perspective, Kiambu County has a population which is equivalent to some other maybe 5 or 4 counties. And I will use an example with a shuttle, 14-seater. You know, guys, kuna hizi gari 14-seaters.
Yes.
You put one shuttle here, full, 14 people. Another one, 3, with 4 people. And then you give each shuttle 4 million. Who is the loser here?
The one
that is full. The one that is full.
Yep.
Right? So I feel that is what happens with the places like Kiambu County.
So you want more shuttles?
Bursary revenue, wakati imesplitiwa to the counties, you see people in coastal region, most will get it, and in Kiambu just a few. Even if they get, someone in coast can get 16,000, and a student in central can get 2,000 or 4,000, 5,000. So I'm okay with this one.
Okay. Thank you, Joseph.
All right.
Time for us to take a break and take a look at traffic. This is Kenya's biggest conversation, the Situation Room. Are political leaders sincere about their positions on the BBI? We saw what they were saying in the National Assembly and how they ended up voting in the National Assembly. We've seen what senators are saying, and we just wait to see how the senators will be voting, hopefully next week, on the same issue of the BBI. 0719-012-600, SpiceFM KE, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. 8:15.
There are so many people peddling what is false and that it bears remarkable resemblance to what is true.
Politicians have their agenda, and their agenda is to use every opportunity to sell that agenda and to loot this nation.
I have seen major strides that are done in this country when we talk to each other as against talking at each other.
We start getting back into the tribal cocoons which were put to us by the colonial powers. You know, they gave us physical freedom but not mental freedom. We're still mentally colonized today into these cocoons of tribe.
Now, if you live in an area where it's difficult to find a dog.
He's a goat. I kid you not.
In which part of this country is it difficult to find a dog? So that you resort Afande hii umbo yako iko na pembe.
Hii ni umba special.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. Traffic.
Right, phasing out in several parts of the city. Okay, so just a reminder, let's look at towards Mombasa. Highway 109, as we've been reported by Anthony this morning, and headed towards Mazeras. The people, rather, their tires that are burning on the road this morning. So headed in that direction, it's causing a pile-up from what we've heard so far. So you want to be careful if you're going in that direction or try to avoid it altogether. All right, coming back into Nairobi outbound and from Westlands, headed in the Limuru direction. It's also piling up this morning, but not too bad. Not too badly that cannot be sorted out. All right, within the city, it looks all right. Coming from Jogo Road in that direction and via Landis. Coming from Langata Road, Gong Road, it looks like it's traffic that can be handled without too much of a headache. If it does get to headache proportions, we can talk about it. Let us know if you look for or find another route. SpiceFM KE on Twitter is the way to get in touch, or text on 40127.
And everything nice, everything nice.
Spice up your life. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
10. So are politicians sincere about their positions on the BBI bill? 0719-012-600. Spice FM KE on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitter. There's some comments there on social media.
Right. Collins Borikip Courier says, of course, they're not sincere. Most of them are driven by personal interests rather than public interests. That is why they easily change their positions and mind on anything or everything. Case in point, BBI amendment bill. Some of those who are adverse to the BBI change their minds within hours. How? Only they know better. Very few follow their conscience, if at all they have any. Wow.
How do you follow something you don't have?
Well, I guess
so you're also on the same point, huh?
You're on the same place.
I mean, if you were to go by the actions, those consciences were mortgaged a long time ago. Some were sat on, some were mortgaged, some are generally for sale on every single day. So really, what are you talking about? The reality of the BBI should be juxtaposed with the reality of the formula that the Commission on Revenue Allocation uses when they're talking about how we can divide the spoils that go to each and every county. It's not elaborate, it's not even that complicated. It's something that is not difficult to understand. It's just that there are some things we refer to as truths, and yet they're purely anecdotal. Oh, this is this is happening here, it's because of this. And some of them are myths that over time we've held as realities. But the thing that you cannot put aside and just push aside is that when we first had the counties, these things that people keep talking about are spaces sparsely populated. A place has fewer inhabitants. All these things were considered. And then there was the story of the absorption capacity of these counties for these monies that have been given. It's a debate you don't hear being talked about, but there was. And the argument that people who lived in far more populous areas said, but you know something, we have more people, not as big as a geographical area. So what are we balancing this with? It is a balancing act the Commission on Revenue Allocation is always playing around with. But what now muddies the waters is when it's politicized, because then the rhetoric that you hear doesn't deal with the facts of the situation and what it is that is actually being done. Because you have a government agency that does nothing but try and understand and make sense of all these things. And the reality of what they do is not brought about. You know why? Because the politicians, even at the county level, have to cover what their misdeeds and what they do with the funds that are allocated to them. So like now, the discussion is the monies they haven't received. How should we then not also discuss, fine, you haven't received it, we've got it, but you have received money in the past. What on earth did you do with it? What did you do with it? We even know the amounts and the billions and the hundreds of billions that you've received. what have you done with it? Is this something you can point and say, this money, let us show you, blow by blow, this is what we use it for, and it equals this. The bulk of our counties cannot do that for you.
And has there been that there has been asked of them to do this? Please show us on a regular basis what you actually do with this money. In terms of accountability, how often do we hear that, these things are being asked for, reported on?
Part of the money that you hear them not getting, if you can't account, simple accounting terms, you're given X amount of money and you can't justify it. As far as the accounting officer is concerned, you have the money. So they will not give you what you are asking until that one is sorted out. It's not really
And then we
complicated.
see what they talk about in terms of absorption reports, and then talk about the scale upon which counties then are able to absorb the funds then that are given to them. Right? That's what we hear.
Yes.
But then really going beyond that to say, do we actually see on a regular basis accounting reports from counties to say, these are the monies that we received or should receive, these are the monies that we received, and this is what we actually did with them? I'm sure such things exist.
No level of government can produce such. Not county, not national. Not members of parliament with CDF, not women reps with their affirmative action fund. So that issue of accounting for money.
I should just keep dreaming.
No. You should
Joseph
keep talking about it.
In Nyeri, good morning.
What I want to say is that the MP said the senators are not truthful. When they are talking about the BBI, they will say this thing is bad, then they go ahead to vote for it. Like they will say, BBI was because of the hardship of 2018. But they won't say where the hardship came from. It became because of electoral injustice. All those people being killed because they have opposed the government. And they have said the elections were not free and fair. And the Supreme Court confirmed that. There's no way we can agree that the results are transferred through electronically. Then you come and tell us that the results, if transmitted through electronically, will be not correct than those. Yet we transmit KCSE results, money through the banks, we transmit, and they never change. So we have not sorted out about electoral injustice. If there is a free and fair election, we will not fight. People will not disagree. Just like in 2002, the candidate that loses will not even wait for the IBC because they have their own agents. They will confirm even after the election, after the counting. If you look about the judiciary, they have said about a judiciary ombudsman, but we have JSC Commission that conducts its business. If you look about the CDF, they will tell you that if you increase the constituencies, that the money will increase. But they won't tell you that they don't say that each constituency gets 100 million. They don't say that each constituency. They say that each constituency gets 100 million. But they won't tell you it is about division, whereby it says 2.5% of the national revenue. So if the national revenue is 29 billion, you divide by 290, you will get 100 million. But you will go there and say 29 billion divided by 360. So you get lower money. So they will tell you that. If you look at the CDF Act, that's why they are lying. All those things, they are lying. They say that Ruino has high numbers. But they will tell you Ruino has high numbers because many people from rural areas go after they finish Form 4. And also, people in Ruino are young, so they are likely to give birth than those in the local areas that are old who have already given birth. They will tell you that. And that's why you have census of 2019, 2029. So So in 2029, after the census, we do have another BBI to increase the constituency. We didn't have. Because they will tell you. Because they will tell you, when we have census, after census, we must have a delimitation. In 2029, we know we shall have a census. So in 2030, we'll have a delimitation because the population has increased. And also,
there have been changes.
The development, the issue of the development has changed. So those countries that have not yet developed will be given more money so that we can have an equal country. But they will tell you that. They will say, oh, Ruido has, because it has been, like now they are saying that in central Kenya, they are talking only two things about the issue of money, counties, how, but they have been power for all those. Why did they devolve that 35? Even if this division of revenue right now, they have devolved 370 billion. If you do the math, it's around 20-something percent, 21, 22. If they know that 5 is possible, they would have started like now. But
now.
They don't want. They want, because of the issue of the disquietness in central Kenya. That's why they are saying, oh, people in central Kenya are hated by the other tribes, or you people in central Kenya stop sending the tribe, or you people in central Kenya don't want to see this. But when the youth disagree with them, even if you look at the issue of the National Youth Council, what will it do? If they don't respect court orders, what will they do? Yet it's just advice. Then advice, then what?
What?
Then what?
You've thought this thing
What
through.
Through to the detail, eh?
So why they are lying? All those things. If you look even about all those things, they are saying that
There are many
it's
issues.
You can't.
We'll
have
invite you.
Utu
We'll
without
invite you,
just-
Joseph. When we start looking at the BBI, the document itself, as we guys start gearing towards the referendum, we'll really
We'll
benefit
invite you.
from insights such as yours. So we'll invite you.
Yes.
Asante sana for your
That's
call
why
today.
they are lying.
Asante
We
for your
don't-
call. Thank you very much for your call today. Have a lovely weekend. 3 minutes to the top of the hour. Basically, Joseph is saying, look. He's gone through it and he's raising questions here. So the National Youth Council.
Okay.
Yeah. So we'll add it. And
He got granular with it. He said, okay.
It will tell us about the youth. So what guarantees do we have that the National Youth Council will actually do what you are saying?
And that's just one section that he is directly, focused on and associated with. So now you want to ask a question: how many more other areas where other individuals are focused on, and they would nitpick like that and say, how then are we guaranteed that it would actually work?
You know, this is why public participation was put in the Constitution.
And why it is important.
And so that's why Obama's thing on this particular document was important.
Yes.
City, today's proverb.
Peace does not make a good ruler. Now, imagine you are president of Kenya with all these things happening. This is not peaceful. This one will make you a very good ruler.
So it hardens you.
Oh, well, it focuses your mind on so many things. I mean, look at the things that one has to juggle. Just look at the things one has to juggle. This being president is not an easy job. I don't even know why people want it. It is not an easy job. It's not a pleasant job. I don't think you sleep very well. And everything that goes wrong, you're blamed for. And no one ever sees anything that you do which is good. No. If they see it, they'll mention it once, and then it's followed by the word but. And then a whole ocean full of complaints and issues that they think are wrong. And who do they lay? On whose doorstep do they lay those problems? Yours.
Yours. You can't sleep. And it's at every level of leadership. From village headman to chief to the president. Thank you very much for tuning into the Situation Room as we conclude the first week of May. Next week, we'll be back from Monday to Friday, God willing, 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday morning. Siti Muga, Eric Latif, and Ndu Oko, who will tell you now what happens from this point on until we come back on Monday.
Well, between now and 11 o'clock, there's uninterrupted music, and so you can enjoy that. And then Yolanda and DJ Absolute come in with Sugar and Spice at 11 o'clock. Then normally Monique would come in with the Spice Drive, and then after her, the Duchess of Ikolomani on the Adults in the Room. Then you will enjoy wonderful music throughout the rest of the day, and then 00 Direct is tomorrow morning. All women's music and topics and issues. And then guess what? They'll have more music, more sugar, more spice until Monday morning at 6 when the three of us will be back.
Yep. So have a lovely weekend. Next week, Friday, is a public holiday. Be prepared for that.
Okay.
What's happening?
It's Eid.
Ah, yes, of course.
Next week, Friday. So next week, we're going to have a short week. So we'll compress everything and finish the show by Tuesday. And then Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, we'll be here playing music.
You started off crazy. There's no reason why you shouldn't finish crazy.
This thing started yesterday.
Have a lovely weekend, folks. Kenya's biggest conversation resumes on Monday.